What's going on, guys? Thanks for watching. Keep calm and game on. In this episode, we're reacting to more Trump news. I guess he signed a bunch of executive orders today. This is March 31st, 2025. Kid Rock's in the Oval Office for some reason. I'm not really sure, but we're going to hit the play button and kind of react to it live. If you got any comments, feel free to drop some in the comment section down below. But yeah, we're just going to hop in. And that is not the right stream. Did I pick the right stream? Are we live? Did I pick the right stream? Hold up, guys. Let me see. 1 second. Breaking news. Okay, yeah, that's what I want. Okay, cool. We're here. Okay, so hit that button. And we are off to the races. So let's hit play and see what happens.
You all set? So it's an honor to have you back. A friend of mine, Kid Rock, sometimes referred to as Bob. I know him as Bob, but he's been a good friend for a long time, many years, and he's been after something that is for the good of a lot of people, including
the good of a lot of people,
the public, and having to do with ticket sales and scalping and all of the gouging that you have been reading about. It's gotten worse and worse with time. And I didn't know too much about it, but I checked it out, and it is a big problem.
We're checking it out, boys. We check all this stuff out.
This done for 20 years or something. He said Trump got it done in 2 weeks, but we came up with a very serious EO, and I'm going to sign it now, and maybe I'll ask you, Will, to explain a little bit about it, please.
Of course, sir. So this is an executive order, as you said, that deals with the ticket reselling business. For fans of live entertainment and for entertainers as well, the ticket reselling industry has become a huge issue. These people use bots and computer algorithms to buy up huge blocks of tickets and then jack up the price so that fans of live entertainers like Mr. Ritchie, I almost called him Mr. Rock, don't have access to concerts the way that they should. And when they do, it's at exorbitantly high prices. So what this executive order does, it charges the FTC and the Department of Justice with rigorously enforcing laws on the books in collaboration with state attorneys general that have power over consumer protection and other people who have the power to really crack down on this issue so that entertainers and fans won't be subject to these abusive and oftentimes illegal practices.
Good. Thank you very much. Bob, do you want to say something?
Yeah, anybody it doesn't matter your politics. First off, thank you, Mr. President, because
if you're just joining us, welcome, guys. This is
I know you put
more breaking news from the Oval Office.
Because I know she worked very hard on this, but thank you for making this happen so quick. Anyone who's bought a concert ticket in the last decade, maybe 20 years, no matter what your politics are, knows that it's.
I haven't bought a concert ticket in a long time, but I'm sure a lot of people do.
It's 170. You don't know what you can charge for it, but more importantly, these bots. You know, they come in to get all the good tickets to your favorite shows you want to go to, and then they're relisted immediately for sometimes a 400 or 500% markup. And the artists don't see any of that money. And, you know, ultimately, I think this is a great first step. I would love down the road if there'd be some legislation that we could actually put a cap on the resale of tickets. And I'm a capitalist and a deregulation guy, but they've tried this in some places in Europe, and it seems to be the only thing that's us as artists be able to get the tickets into the hands of the fans.
You guys a Kid Rock fan? I've never really listened to any of his music. I know he's a fan of Trump and their friends, but I've never really listened to this guy's music.
It's kind of ridiculous.
Might have to check it out.
Be, you know, a hero to the working class people and have them be able to come attend my shows.
Ismail Lopez, look at these clowns. How you doing, Ismail? Did I pronounce that right?
Be able to make that happen. I know a lot of artists and a lot
the
of
music
fans
sucks. Yeah, like I said, I'm not too familiar with them. I've heard the name before, but
more interested in the
I've never heard his music.
The people that are having to pay crazy prices than he is the artist.
But I think making it harder for bots and stuff to resell tickets and kind of scalp them and charge concert goers more, I think that's a good thing. That they're
the artists, and they go out with.
I mean, I don't think it can hurt anything, right?
For $2,000 the following night.
I think it helps the music industry and the artists. So I don't think anything's wrong with that.
Which is pretty amazing. So
they've only enforced that Bots Act one time, I believe. Yeah. A couple of years ago in New York City, I think we got a $2 million fine, and that's the only time they've enforced that act.
And who's the primary culprit? Who sells these tickets?
It's the scalpers.
And Ismail Lopez, you been here before, man?
They're automated, so you're.
But is there a company involved? You might not want to
No,
say.
no, well, there's reselling markets all, yeah.
I think I know, Peter. But that's all right. Don't get them involved. Maybe they're more innocent than we think. Huh?
Well, if you think of it, like if Ticketmaster sells a ticket, if you buy a ticket and go to a show, you're in a lot of ways their worst customer. Because they make another 17, whatever percentage every time that ticket resells. So they don't want
Well, with Trump taking away so much
necessarily,
regulations,
because
it
they're
won't
making more money
happen.
off it. No, the artists don't see any of that money, but that's not what I'm advocating for, is for me to make more money. I want the
Well, you mean
fans
it
to
won't-
have fair ticket
You
prices,
mean
to be
like
able to
this
go
executive
enjoy
order
shows.
he's
I know people
signing,
that can only-
nothing will actually
they
come
decide
from
on
it
a
because he's
family
taking
vacation,
away
going to their favorite concert.
regulations, or
Rather
what do you
than-
mean?
You know, my parents
Or
used
just
to go
like
to multiple
regulations
shows
for,
when they afforded them back in their day. And I'd like to take
like
my ticket
energy
prices lower,
or
but if
just
I
in
set my
general?
ticket prices low, these bots immediately
If you're just
eat 'em
joining
up,
us, guys,
and they
welcome.
resell for hundreds of dollars
Kid Rock
more,
is in
and
the
I'm just
Oval
making these
Office.
bad actors rich.
They're signing executive orders left and
Well,
right.
I
What is
think
going
this is a
on?
big step to
We're
getting
making
this
America
done.
great again. That's what's
Do
going
you have
on.
something, Rick?
Yeah, I do actually. I actually feel that the consumer is going to take the money that they
Also,
save
Trump is
actually
so
buy merch,
transactional
which you
that
guys
they
have a big
just
percentage
have
of,
to
or do
donate.
concessions, which you guys split with the venue on that as well. So I think their
We
money
don't
goes
share in
first.
concessions a lot.
What do you mean they have to
No,
do-
no,
what-
those
what do you mean?
We try to, but.
Are you talking about
they don't
tickets
wanna-
or what?
They don't want to share it in the beer prices and parking or any of that stuff, but the bottom line is there's money for everyone to be made. There's plenty of money to go around. You know, no one's going to really lose here.
That is a
You know,
big desk.
Ticketmaster, if we can get a cap, they're going to lose some money, but I've already.
Smash
talked to
that like
the
button,
CEO,
guys.
Michael, and he's given me his word. He's on
If you
board
think
for
Trump
it.
is making
I was
America
talking
great
to
again,
Cody
let me know.
Papa Roach earlier, and by the way, he's a big fan of what you're doing, President Trump, digging into.
I'll actually create a poll in
this
the
whole
chat.
Scalping and the bots. A lot of musicians, and you can say that they're with Kid Rock, sir.
Good. I think so. A lot of people are.
President Trump,
Peter?
would you ever wear a jacket like that?
I don't know. I was thinking about doing it for tomorrow. We have a big event coming up, and I was thinking about doing it, but I'm not sure.
So you recently bought a Tesla.
Is that
for
Peter
White House
Ducey?
staff
That's Peter
to
Ducey.
use, But now there's all these domestic terrorists targeting Teslas.
Domestic terrorists taking out Teslas. What a bunch of morons.
I don't think so. I haven't heard. They weren't complaining. I
If
did
you
buy
don't
one,
like
and
the
I let
car, if you
state
don't like
use it.
Elon, don't buy a Tesla.
Yeah.
Or if you
We
want
got
to
it
ruin a
bought
Tesla,
conveniently, and
pay for Tesla with
one
your
day
own
we
money.
give it to
Buy
Margot,
one
one day
yourself,
we give it to
and then you can do
Chamberlain.
whatever you want with it. But don't do it to
And
other
Natalie
people's
would
cars
give it
because
to
that's just
everybody
stupid.
around.
And you're gonna
Give
get
it
caught and you're
Vance
gonna go to jail.
Greenland, But he's got so much money it doesn't matter. But they love the car, and it's a great car, and it's made here.
I think
Made in
Elon's
the
just trying to
country.
save
Got a tremendous
the U.S.
plant
money
now in Texas, and
'cause
he
there's
has
a lot
one
of
in- he
fraud
has
and
one in
wasteful spending.
California. Does a lot of his work here. And
He's trying to make it a well-oiled
unfairly treated,
machine.
in
That's
my
what I
opinion.
think.
I drive one.
And
Yeah.
there's this other story. I know it's hypothetical right now, but if
It
you
might
were
get
allowed,
worse before it gets
for
better.
some reason, to run for a third term, is there a thought that the Democrats could try to run Barack Obama against you
I'd love that.
for his third term?
Oh, I'd love that. That would be a good one. I'd like that. No, people are asking me to run, and there's a whole story about running for a third term. I don't know. I never looked into it. They do say there's a way you can do it, but I don't know about that. But I have not looked into it. I want to do a fantastic job. We have 4 years, just about, almost close to 4 years.
I think he's
Time
just
is
trolling people,
flying, but it's
saying
close
he's
to 4 years,
he's
and,
considering running
we're getting
again.
a lot of credit for having done a great
I
job.
think
in
he's
the first
trolling
almost
everybody. I think he's
100
trolling.
days. And we have some big things we're going to be announcing over the next 2 days that you know very well, Peter, and I think it's going to be something that's
No,
going
I
to
think
bring
the
a lot of
government's
wealth
pretty
back to our
corrupt, man.
country, tremendous wealth back to our country, actually, and other countries are
I
understanding.
think Doge
because
has
they've
been pretty
ripping us for
transparent with all
50
the
years
jobs and stuff they're
longer, but
cutting
they've
and
been ripping us off for years,
and
right from the beginning. And,
programs.
I think this is going to be an amazing, I call it a lot of different names, but it's really the.
That's just
in a
my
sense,
opinion. What do you
it's a
guys think in the
rebirth
chat?
of our country, because what-
Post a
what we
comment.
could
Are you a
have
fan of
afforded
Trump?
to
Do you
do
hate
what we
Trump?
did. We helped
Do you think he's doing a
everybody.
lousy job as
They
president? Do you
don't
think he's doing a
help
great
us.
job?
I really.
Let me know.
The term I like best probably is the liberation of America. It's the liberation of this country, because it's incredible. that we have
Liberation of
36
America,
trillion in debt for a
boys.
reason, and that accumulates over a long period of time. So I think what you're going to be seeing over the next couple of days will be very inspiring to a lot of people.
And I
that
think
a lot
April
of
2nd,
photo plants
which,
being
yeah,
built
April
in a certain
2nd,
country.
that's
I
when
don't
all the
wanna
big
mention
tariffs
country
start
'cause
hitting.
we get along
So
great
that
with
should
the
be
country,
interesting.
But those plants aren't being built there anymore. They gave them up today and yesterday.
Lewis,
day
how you doing,
before.
Lewis?
And they're building them all now in the United States, and we have many.
America's
examples,
done
not
getting
only
ripped
auto
off,
plants.
boys.
Chip companies from Taiwan are coming in. The biggest, Mr. Wei, He's big. I said, you are a smart guy, aren't you? I've been reading about him over the years, but he controls a large portion of the chip business, as you know. You don't get smarter. They're going to be
Bringing
investing
the
$200 or $300
chips, the
billion.
semiconductor
Apple's
chips
investing
back to America. Bring it to
$500
America.
billion. You know, they
So
always
even if
built
they
their
try to
bases
take
in
over
China, now he's
Taiwan,
building here. I
we're
think
going to have a
because
lot
of
of them
the-
made
if I-
in
you speak to
America,
Tim
and
Cook
basically
because of
everything
the
takes
election.
a chip.
But maybe more importantly,
TVs,
because
cell
of the fact
phones, your cars.
he's got really an obligation to do it. But we
So it's
have
going to
many,
help
many
with
companies we
security,
haven't even heard of.
going to
But
help the
I
economy,
think
going to help
we'll
with
be at
jobs.
$5 trillion very soon. And if you think about this, we've never
Companies
been
are
anywhere
starting to
near
come
this.
back to America
I
because they don't
know
want to
if
get
we've ever been at
tariffed.
$1 trillion.
What do you mean by
It's
that?
all
We're
part of the
five-
plan, guys. It's all part of the plan.
What do I mean by a trillion?
5 trillion, what are you referring to, sir?
I think that we're going to be at $5 trillion of investment. I think you're going to have investments very shortly.
It's all coming
We're
back,
already-
boys.
3.5, and we have commitments, verbal commitments for a lot more. And numbers like that have never been done in this country. And it's going to get harder. This is in 2 months. It's really in less than 2 months.
How you doing it,
since we've
Lewis?
really
How you
gone
doing,
out
man?
with
How you
it.
doing?
And
You
we have
guys are
other-
watching for the
other
first time.
interesting
Drop some
things
comments. Let me know
happening.
what
But
you
to
think.
me, the whole tariff
Mike
situation-
says, Kid Rock now?
Essentially,
Yeah,
they've
Mike.
done that to us for many
Yeah,
years.
Kid Rock's there. I guess
So
they're
if we're
friends.
anywhere near
I've never heard
5
his music,
trillion
but
in 2 months, this could be numbers like the country's
they
never
just signed
seen.
an
And
executive order
Every time you hear a dollar spent,
to make it, I guess,
that's a
harder
because
for
the jobs are
scalpers
coming
to
with
sell
it.
tickets
So,
and stuff.
Auto plants, chip plants.
And now they're talking about
pharmaceuticals,
talking to
lumber coming
reporters
in.
and answering questions from the
We have
press,
things happening in this country. I don't
talking about the
think-
tariffs that are coming
I'm not
on
sure that
April
they've
2nd.
ever seen it steal. You know, we have
Oh, happy
tariffs
April
on
Fool's Day,
steel.
everybody,
They've
by the
been
way.
Here for a while.
Happy April
Steel,
Fool's Day.
aluminum.
But Mika, how you doing,
Nobody's
man?
ever seen anything
I mean,
like
not
we're
Mika, Mike.
witnessing now.
Mike.
Nobody's ever seen. I think most of you agree with that. I mean, it's nothing much you can't agree with. We have things happening in terms of jobs and investment.
Things are happening,
the
boys.
likes of which I
America's
don't think
back,
we've ever
son.
seen. If you look
America's
at,
back.
Let's say $4 to $5 trillion in a period of a month and a half. That's even more than you do with your concerts, which are always
I like
sold
how he
out.
has Gulf of America back there
Nobody's
behind
ever
him.
seen numbers. And think of it, where Apple's at 500 billion, as I
He just
said,
like keeps adding
but they always
different
used to spend that money in
things to the
China.
Oval
Now
Office.
they're
There's like a
spending it.
giant
That means
golf
you're gonna
trophy
go-
to
now,
his right.
they don't
He's
have
got
any
the Gulf of
Remember, there are no
America
tariffs if you
map to
do
his
your
left.
product here, if you build
He
whatever
brought
it
in the
is
Constitution,
in the USA.
put it
One
on
of
a
the things
wall,
we're also trying to get
where previously it was like in a
if you
vault in a
build-
museum, and now
if
it's
you
just in the
buy a
Oval
car that
Office.
was built in the USA, you get a deduction on interest. So if you go out and borrow money to buy a car, if it's built in the USA, never been done before, it's a big deduction for people that really aren't used to deductions, frankly. Because
The chat thinks Trump is not doing a good job, according to the poll. We got 3 votes.
And now they're gonna
100%
learn
say
about
no, Trump is
deductions. So I
not
think it's
keeping
gonna
his
be great.
word.
Yeah.
President, are you going to move ahead with a universal tariff or
The Constitution that he's
different
gone
individual
against?
tariff rates on a whole variety of different?
Well, you're gonna see in 2 days.
Gonna see, boys. You're gonna
maybe-
see.
Tomorrow
It's gonna be
night
crazy.
or
It's gonna be interesting.
probably Wednesday, you're gonna see, and they're reciprocal. So whatever they charge us, we charge them, but we're being nicer than they were. We have a lot of countries, friend and foe. I always say friend and foe, but the friend in many cases is worse than the foe. They took advantage of us, and we are going to be very nice by comparison.
We're all
to what
about
they
the
were.
fair trade, boys. The
numbers will be
fair
lower than
trade.
What they've been charging us, and in some cases maybe substantially lower, but we sort of have a world obligation perhaps. But we're going to be very nice. Relatively speaking, we're going to be very kind.
Mr. President, you met with the chairman.
Somebody said that about me the other day. He said, who doesn't know me very well, they said, you're such a kind person. And I said, say that again. They said, you're a kind person. I said, I've never heard that before. It was a weird statement. I was kind.
Who said that?
I've heard of words that, I don't know, I better not tell you. You know, I've been called a lot of things, but it's sort of a different kind of a word. It's like an old-fashioned word, is that it?
Mr. President, you met with the chairman of Stellantis today. Did
Yes.
he ask you for a pause on the auto tariffs?
No.
What was that meeting about?
Just about some of the problems.
A lot of
they have
companies
with
are
the
coming back to
environment, which
America,
we're gonna clean
guys.
up.
I think Hyundai just announced a big plant in, was it Louisiana or something?
Look, we're going to go back.
Gonna be investing a
probably
lot
to
of money here in
2020
America,
standard. So
because
we'll
they don't want to
2020
have to deal with the
standard,
tariffs, which is going to
and
create
that's
like
just a few years ago.
7,000 jobs or
Oh,
something.
they're making it so difficult. All over the world they're making it. It doesn't mean a damn bit of difference either for the environment. It doesn't matter. They make it impossible for people to build cars. So we're going to be doing much different. 2020 is a strong standard, but they've taken it to a level now that makes it very difficult to build a car. So we're going to be bringing it back to a standard.
Bringing it back. We're bringing it back. Hopefully, it doesn't start any wars. I think it's going to end in the wars that Biden started.
Though, about the tariffs on parts that will go into effect.
We're working on that war in Ukraine. We'll get it settled. We'll get it
They
settled.
didn't charge them anything, for a big month, for that first month, and they brought a lot of material into this country because they could bring it in without tariff. If you look at Canada and Mexico, they were driving hundreds of thousands of cars into the market because they avoid the tariffs by doing it before the tariffs go on, which would be Wednesday. And I looked at I saw some of
I think
your
it started
shows
because
where cars
they were
are
talking
lined up
about
for
bringing
miles and
Ukraine
miles.
into
Some
what
of
was
them
it,
didn't
NATO?
have fenders on them. Some of them didn't have the roof on yet. They're driving it in brand
And
new.
Biden was really
They're driving
considering it,
in because they want
and
to avoid the tariffs. I let
yep.
them have that. They sort of
Plus,
took
Biden was a very
advantage of
weak
it
president,
because,
so
that wasn't
it
part of
makes
the deal,
sense
but
that
that's
Putin would
okay.
want to invade during
They're
like the
great
weakest president ever.
American car companies,
And he did.
and so I gave them a little break on that. Yeah.
Are there any countries that you're not targeting on Wednesday?
Well, it depends. I said it's reciprocal. Not everybody has made a fortune.
You missed
Almost
having a
everybody
president
has,
that
but
didn't
not
do theater and
everybody.
was actually
The
doing his
ones
job.
that
Are you talking about
haven't,
Biden or are you talking about somebody
be
else?
Very nice to them.
Because you never even saw Biden.
Because that word reciprocal is very important.
Biden very rarely
What they do
talked to the press.
us, we do to them.
You just see him like
Okay.
wandering around the stage trying to find the exit.
Putin, you said over the weekend or indicated over the weekend.
Half the
some
stuff he said you
frustration
couldn't
with
even
him.
understand.
How serious are you about imposing oil sanctions on
No, I
Russia?
want
If you're talking about Biden,
Make a deal.
Yeah.
So we stop Russian soldiers,
I don't know about that.
Ukrainian soldiers, and other people.
and I don't think Biden did his job. I don't even think
From being
Biden knew what his
killed,
job
but mostly
was.
it's Russian and
Toward the end, I don't think
Ukrainian
Biden even knew he was
They're
president,
losing at
if I'm being
least
completely honest.
2,500 human beings, beautiful
And they just
human
signed a
beings.
bunch of stuff with auto pen. I don't know if he
And I
even
wanted
knew
to
half the
stop.
stuff he
And
was
some people would say,
green lighting,
why do you
or if
worry
his
about
staff
Russian
was just
soldiers
saying
and
like, oh yeah,
Ukrainian
Biden did it,
soldiers? I worry
auto
because
pen,
it's
boom.
they're just like
Biden
you
approved
people.
it.
They're like us. They're like all of us.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And I seem to have an ability to do those things. And if I can do that,
And Kamala would have been worse.
I think it's a very worthwhile thing to do. And I think we will. No, I want to make sure that he follows through. And I think the
economy's gonna get better, guys. You're gonna see.
Tariffs on his oil, but
Terry says, one of the best presidents the US has ever
He
had.
wasn't doing the job. I did it with Venezuela.
I agree.
Secondary tariffs, and you know what
I
happened?
agree.
Every boat left the harbor. Did you see that? It was
Trump
a
got
beautiful
stuff
thing to
done,
see.
and he's getting stuff
The
done now.
whole harbor emptied
He's gotten
out.
more done in his
My
first
words
50
weren't even
days
finished.
than
They have these
Biden did
massive-
in the entire 4
These
years he was in
massive
office.
ships, they're actually taking
sealed up the
hoses
border.
and dumping them into there. They couldn't get out of there fast enough because they know
We
how
got
to
a
play
big
games.
mess we're trying to clean
So
up,
I
but we're
think
gonna
he's
get it
gonna
done.
live up to what he told me. and
Biden
I
left
think
us
he's
with a
going
mess,
to,
but we're getting it done, boys.
fulfill his
We're getting it fixed.
part of the deal. Now, then you have Zelensky, and hopefully he's going to live up.
But Terry,
I see
what's
he's
up?
trying
Welcome to the stream.
Renegotiate the rare earth. We did something because, as you know, the Europeans get paid back the money that they gave, and we don't because Biden is an incompetent president. And he should have
Yep.
asked for rare earth, or he should have asked for the loans to be guaranteed in some form. That's what Europe did. Europe is in for probably $100
That's
billion
debatable.
dollars. And we're in for 350 billion, so we're in for more than 3 times. And now you could make it a little bit less than that, but it doesn't matter, whatever the number. We're in for substantially more than Europe. We could be in for 350 billion. They have no idea because Biden wasn't a good bookkeeper except for himself. And what happens is we made a deal for rare earth. It was all done. And I heard through you, I haven't spoken to them yet, but through you, I heard
We
that
are enabling
they're now
subscriber
saying, well,
mode, so if you are a
I'll only
subscriber,
do that
you
deal
will
if we
be
get
able
into
to
NATO
leave a
or
comment.
something to that effect.
So if you hit the
That was
subscribe button,
never
feel free to drop
number
some
one
comments down
discussed.
below.
Number
Thank
two,
you
I think
ahead of
it's gonna
time
be
for
very long
subscribing.
before Putin-
Appreciate it.
They said you're not going into NATO. And it could be, that's probably the reason the war started, actually.
Yeah, see, I just said this. I think, Biden was talking about bringing Ukraine into NATO, and Putin was like, don't do that. We don't want that done. We don't want that at our doorstep. And
Big race, Supreme Court
a
race
couple
in
days later,
Wisconsin. It's
that's when it happened.
taking place essentially as it was early voting, and so we'll see what happens. It's a
But
big
hopefully
race.
we'll get the war
I
stopped,
love
the war
Wisconsin.
settled.
We won
We'll
Wisconsin.
keep people from dying. We can just
Republicans
figure it
typically
out.
don't do very well in Wisconsin.
Because every day that goes by,
I did.
thousands more
Actually
people
won it
die,
twice.
both on the Russian
Actually,
side and the
probably won
Ukraine
it 3
side.
times, to
So
be exact.
We played
Hopefully we can
Not
get it
probably. I won
settled
3 times.
soonish rather than
We had a
later.
rigged election the second time, but that's
Fingers crossed.
one of those things. We had to make this one too big to rig. Would you agree with that, Brian? Too big to rig?
If you're just joining, guys, we are watching
So anyway,
Trump
but,
sign some more executive
yeah,
orders
there's a
in
big
the
race,
Oval
and I hope
Office.
you
He's
get out
talking to
and
the
vote for
press right
Republican.
now.
The woman is a radical
Kid
left
Rock is there.
lunatic. And let's see who wins.
He just
But,
signed an
the
executive
woman
order
will be
making
very
it more
bad. And,
difficult
you know,
for,
Wisconsin's
I
a
guess,
big state
scalpers
politically.
to
And the Supreme
people
Court
off
has
at
a lot to do
concerts and
with
stuff.
elections in Wisconsin. So if whoever it is that's running, including, even Senate races, et cetera, but whoever it is in 4 years that runs.
But if you are watching,
having
feel free
Wisconsin
to
is a very
drop a
big-
comment.
we won
Let me
it
know what you
early
think about
and
Trump.
big, But winning Wisconsin's a big deal. So therefore, the Supreme Court choice, that's.
So far, we
That's the
got
one you're
16
talking about right
votes
now?
in the chat. I asked
It's a
the
big
question,
race.
is Trump
It's gonna
keeping his
be,
word?
announced
31% say
very
yes,
shortly.
and 69% say no.
TikTok. Big week deadlines. You got Liberation Day and the TikTok deadline.
Yeah,
is this
we
week.
do.
But NATO
Which I can
just
extend if I want, but
Is
we
just
have a lot of
offensive. If Russia
enthusiasm
wasn't
for
always
TikTok.
attacking, they
We're
wouldn't
buying
have to
it.
worry about them.
I think
Putin
TikTok is good.
doesn't
We
want
used it
them to
very
join
often.
NATO because he
I was
wants
a
to
big
annex
TikTok
them.
guy, and we won by 36
Possible.
points. The youth. We won the
It's
youth.
possible.
Which Republicans don't do. Maybe it's because Kid Rock likes Trump. I don't know. But we won the youth by 36 points, and I attribute some of that to TikTok.
Is the TikTok deal, the negotiations now, tied
TikTok.
to
We'll talk
a
about
bigger
TikTok.
Tariff deal with China?
No, but it could be. I mean, I've used tariffs for lots of different reasons, but I could see, 1 point in tariffs with China, a big country, would be probably worth more than all of TikTok, as valuable as TikTok is. It's big stuff. So there's a great example. That's a great question, actually. I'm a very flexible person. I could use that for that. Like, maybe I'll take a couple of points off if I get approvals for something. I haven't done it. Maybe I'll do it.
We're
maybe
wheeling
I
and
won't.
dealing,
It's
boys.
a very good question. Peter, you're very good.
Thank you. You'll love this one.
Go ahead.
Peter Ducey, here we go.
Not front page news, but I am just curious. What is your thought about Tiger Woods now becoming part of the broader Trump family?
Well, I love Tiger, and I love Vanessa, and they had a great relationship. I happen to think the relationship with my son.
Also, guys, what do you think about all of the
relationship
crazy
with
people
certain
on the
very
left
bad people,
firebombing
witch hunt that
Tesla
went on, Russia,
dealerships
all the
and
crap that
just
they put Don
vandalizing
through,
people's
who knew
property?
nothing
What do you think about all that?
But Vanessa and Don had a very good relationship.
I think
They have
they're going to get arrested
incredible children,
and thrown in
5
jail,
Incredible children.
and they should get arrested
All
and
good
thrown in
athletes,
jail
all
because if
great
you're doing
students,
that,
like,
that's
right?
breaking the law.
And they
If you want to buy a Tesla with
quite
your own
while
money
ago.
and blow it up, that's on you,
And,
but don't do it to
which
somebody
used to
else's
be
car.
very sad, 'cause I think
If you don't
both
like
were
Tesla, if you
Don
don't
and
like
Vanessa, and,
Elon,
Tiger
don't buy his
actually
products.
called me a few months ago, and you have
Simple
a
as
very
that.
special, very good relationship with Tiger. I played golf with him a couple of times over the last month, and he's a fantastic.
If Democrats
guy
think
and a
they're ever going to get
fantastic
elected
athlete. And
again,
he told me about it.
they probably need to
And
think
I
again,
said,
because if
Tiger,
they're doing that
it's
to an American company,
I'm
an American
very,
car company,
happy for both.
why would
let 'em
anybody
both
vote
be
for that?
happy. Let 'em both be happy.
they have
They're both
lost
great.
their way.
To follow up on China, China, South Korea, and Japan say they're going to work together in cooperation to respond to the tariffs that you're going to put into effect this week. Are you concerned that this move, the tariffs this
This is
week,
a crazy
could
time to
push
live in, guys.
some of
These
the United
tariffs are
States'
really going to
closest
shake things
allies
up.
to work with
Starting
No.
tomorrow, April
I'm not
2nd,
worried.
we're going to see
Yeah.
what
Mr.
happens.
Can I ask you
I
about
think they have a
something?
chance of doing better, actually, with the tariffs. It can actually help them in a certain way. And I think a lot of them will drop their tariffs.
If you're just joining us,
because,
guys,
they've
welcome
been
to the stream.
unfairly tariffing, the United States for
If we got any
years.
Trump fans
If
out
you
there,
look at the
smash that
European
like button
Union
if you
on
are a
Doge,
Trump
the
fan.
European
Roto Rudy
Union
says,
already
we have
dropped
no
their
allies.
tariffs
What up,
to
Roto?
2.5%. It was announced a couple
What up,
of days
man?
ago, which is what which is a very small tariff.
I don't think there's anything wrong with putting America first. This is America.
And,
He is the president of
a lot
America.
I
If you're
think,
not putting your own
India
country
just a
first, then
little
what are you
while ago
doing?
was gonna
You
be
know?
dropping its tariffs very substantially.
What are you doing?
And I said, why didn't somebody do this a long time ago? A lot of countries are going to be dropping their tariffs.
About something that happened in France today, Mr. President. Marine Le Pen, the far-right leader, got convicted in court and is now banned from running for office for 5 years. Do you have a comment about
That's a
that?
big deal. That's a very big deal. I know all about it, and a lot of people thought she wasn't going to be convicted of anything, and I don't know if it means conviction, but she was banned for running for 5 years. and
It doesn't
she's the
mean you
leading
threaten NATO
candidate.
allies.
That
True.
sounds like this country.
NATO was only one reason Putin went
sounds very
to
much
Ukraine,
like
not
this
the main
country.
reason.
Okay,
I mean,
anybody
honestly,
else?
Putin's the only one who knows why he went in.
Proposals for tariffs by
Like, people have all these theories of why he went in. Putin's really the only one who knows why.
Ideas to you about tariffs.
I honestly think that
Have you settled on any?
he thought he wasn't going to get a better chance. He knew he couldn't do anything during Trump because Trump's actually a good president. He saw how Biden was basically not doing anything, asleep half the time. Nobody respected him. Even people in his own cabinet didn't respect him. He's like, yo, this is the weakest president we possibly ever had in America. If I'm going to invade, now is the time to do it. And I think he took full advantage of it.
A Marine Corps veteran,
That's what I think.
Who went missing in Syria over 12 years ago. Have efforts been made to locate Austin Tice been extended beyond Syria, including potential leads
Putin is in
Iraq?
charge of us right now?
Do you have
I
plans,
don't believe that,
to get
man.
in touch with Miss Deborah Tice, the mother of Miss Austin Tice, and also at the same time, organizations like Hostage Aid Worldwide have been on the ground in Syria.
And like, Biden
searching
never did
for,
any of this. Biden
searching
never
for,
took any
Austin
questions.
Tice, for many years.
He would maybe take like one question, and all the questions he
potential
did take
future
would like be
plans
written
to
on a little
locate,
sticky note, so he'd already know what the questions were, and he still couldn't answer
So we've
them.
been looking, as you know, for Austin for years. I don't know about Biden. I don't think Biden.
Any
was
Elon
looking for
Musk
anything,
fans out there watching?
but, we were.
I was playing some Fortnite before this, driving around in the
Virtually
Tesla
no
truck
sign,
in
you know that.
Fortnite,
There's been
showing
no
my
sign of
support
Austin.
for Doge and
Incredible.
what they're doing.
Young guy.
I think
He
Elon
less
is doing a
young
great
now.
job
It's
with his
been a
team.
long time. It's been many, many years.
Just my opinion.
The mother is fantastic. She's a very committed mother that her whole life is to find her son, who was in Syria and just disappeared off the face of the earth. So, you know, a lot of bad things happen. But we're always, you know, we will never until we find out something.
Thank you for the
definitive,
like,
one
guys.
way or the
Smash
other.
that
We'll
like.
never
Can we
stop
get
looking for.
50 thumbs up
But,
on this
we
video?
haven't,
Let's get to the
and,
top of the live stream
response,
list.
It's just a lot of dead ends.
Firing thousands of
It's
vets.
been gone for a long time.
From what I heard,
Problem
he's
is
actually
never been
fired
exciting.
very
You know,
little people.
Sometimes you'll have somebody you're looking for 'em and there's
For
a
a reason, it
sighting.
was the
There's never
biolabs.
been a
Russia
sighting
saved the Jews
of
in
Austin.
World War II.
But
It's in your history
we are out
books.
there, and we have great respect for his family and for his
52% of the
mother.
people that
She's been
voted on the
unbelievable.
poll in the chat say
President, a
Trump
question
is
about,
keeping his word.
Yes, you've had,
So it's almost half and
outreach
half.
to the
Half you
leaders
think
of
Trump's
Russia
doing a good
and China.
job.
You've
Half you
made an
think Trump
outreach
is
to
doing a
Iran.
terrible job.
When are you going to plan to reach out to North Korea and Kim Jong-un? Anytime in the near future?
Well, I do. I have a very good relationship with
Kim Jong-un, Little Rocket Man.
You
Remember
people
Little Rocket
hate
Man?
to hear that, but it's very important. I got along with him fantastically, as you know. It started off very rough, very nasty. Little Rocket Man, the whole thing was a
Little
nasty
Rocket
deal.
Man.
And then one day we got a call that they'd like to meet. We met. We have a great relationship.
Oh, man.
And,
Trump's nicknames.
Yeah, we have, there is communication, yeah. I think it's very important. You know, he's a big nuclear nation, and he's a very smart guy. I got to know him very well. Remember, I put my foot across the line, and then I walked across the line. I don't know if Secret Service was thrilled with that. They actually wasn't.
So here's the
They were
thing.
not too
Elon
thrilled.
didn't have to
But,
start Doge
have a
and
very good
helping
relationship with
cut
him. Yeah,
waste
we'll
in
probably
the
do
government. He
something
didn't have
at
to do
some
that.
point.
He's already a
Yeah,
billionaire.
please.
Who's
Jeff?
on your
Richest
short list,
man in
Mr.
America.
President, to replace at least
He could have just
Stefanik
focused
as
on
US
Tesla,
ambassador
on
to Greenland?
SpaceX, on
So, yeah,
XAI,
good
a lot of
people
different companies he
that,
could have focused on.
wanted-
He had his
First of all,
plate
Lisa's
full,
fantastic.
and he decided to
I
put
just
those
don't
on the
wanna take
sidelines
chances where you guys say, "How's the
and
election
take some
going?"
time and
We have
focus
a
on making the
congressional
economy better,
election
making
that's a little bit
things
close. I
run
guess the
better.
one is in good shape, but the other
And now the
one's a
crazy
little bit close.
Democrats,
But Randy
they don't like the
Fine
fact
is a
that
great
he's
guy.
trying to cut wasteful spending,
They're
so they're
both good
firebombing
candidates.
his
They're
car
very good.
company,
But it's, you know,
making his
little
stock
bit,
go down.
we wanna be
But he's still doing it
And Elise is very
because he's a
popular in her
patriot.
district.
And it's not just
So
about the
am I.
money.
We
If he only
won
cared
by
about the money,
a
he
lot
would
of
have
points, and
tried to
so
keep
did she.
Biden in office.
And there's a lot of people
Because
that wanted to
Biden
run for it, but we
made
have
a
no idea.
mandate
I
to
think
say
it
that
would-
all cars were
I
going
think
to
it's just
switch to
security.
electricity.
Elise,
Only
what about
electric
going
cars going
back?
forward.
Because
You know how much
they
money
love
that would
you
have made
there,
Elon Musk
and she's
because he
gonna
has
take a
the
big
biggest
leadership
electric car company in the
position
world.
with
So he
Mike
could have just
Johnson
tried
and
everything he could to keep Biden in office if he really cared about the money. But
I can tell
he
you
woke up.
that,
He saw what
for
everybody was
the
doing.
replacement,
He saw the
we have a lot of
corruption and he's
people
like,
that
nope,
have asked about
it's more
it,
than just the
would
money.
like to do it. David
I'm going to help
Friedman,
America get back on track.
Rick
And that's what he's doing.
Grinnell,
And Democrats can't handle it.
and
It's
maybe
making their
30
minds
other people.
explode.
Everyone loves
And
that
they somehow
position.
think
That's a
that
star-making position.
defacing public property and
so
trying to
we'll
make
see what happens.
Elon
But
look
we have
bad
a lot of people that are interested
by,
in
you
going
know,
to the United Nations,
taking
as you can
keys and
imagine.
scratching
Yeah.
Teslas whenever they see them. They think that's going to make them win an election.
Favorite song to play live
No, it's just making you look stupid and like you're a bunch of morons. And no one's ever going to let you anywhere near the White House.
What was your favorite one? Favorite song?
If it was peaceful protest, that would be one thing, but it's not peaceful. So I think the left needs to wake up because they're going to lose a lot of support over this. There's a lot of Democrats out there that don't support it, and they are starting to realize their party has been hijacked by a bunch of crazy people. And they're starting to realize, like, Trump is right about pretty much everything. So they're burning their party to the ground, and it's pretty sad.
He's really a star when it comes to that. He is a very talented guy. I would say maybe Madison Square Garden.
If you're just popping in, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section.
The owner of the garden, Jim Dolan, who's...
We got subscriber mode turned on, so if you are a subscriber, you can leave a comment.
He said this, he's never seen anything like it. We had...
If you're just passing through, give the video a thumbs up and give it a thumbs down either way.
But we sell out big arenas. We sold out in Milwaukee. We sold out at every big arena. We never had empty seats. It's amazing. They talk about Bernie Sanders gets 2,000 or 3,000 people. Everyone said, these crowds, I get 107,000 people in New Jersey. In Butler, PA, we had over
You make it seem like it was all Democrats and not just like 10 people. Dude, it's more than 10 people. There's videos up all over the place.
Because I grew up in New York.
Even in Idaho, there's people protesting.
Jim Dolan treated us well, but everybody said that because I think I could have filled
You think
it up 10
Republicans are
times.
protesting
We had
Elon Musk
hundreds
for
of
helping
thousands of people
make the government smaller and
that
doing
were
what
stacked all
they
the way
voted
back to the
for
Hudson
Trump to
River
do?
and on the
You
other
think
direction,
Republicans are doing it?
back
Nah.
to Fifth Avenue. Nobody's ever said. I don't mean with a line. I mean
Republicans
like
aren't that stupid.
50 deep, like 50 deep this way. The streets were closed.
There's a lot of
the whole thing
Democrats
was
that
crazy.
aren't supportive of that
And when
stuff.
you take that, you want to do well.
And I think they're going to start leaving the party because they've realized, like, yo,
But we could have sold it out, Brian.
it's been hijacked. The party's been hijacked by a bunch of
And I
crazy
think
people.
We got a good indication that that's where the election was going, and we won every swing
There's going to be
state,
more and more
we won
Republicans out there.
by millions of votes. It was a great election. Yeah.
Mr. President, the U.S. military transferred 17 individuals to El Salvador overnight. Did you discuss with your team whether these deportations would run afoul of any recent court orders?
No, I do want to thank, however, the president. He has been unbelievable, and in relation to us. But I think that our people have.
That looks
done
like a very
incredible
comfy
job. I
chair.
got elected on the basis of getting bad people out of our country that shouldn't be here, very dangerous people out of our country.
If they're still in the party, that means
And
they
that's
support
what
the
I did,
violence.
and then
Yeah,
have
you
a
might be
judge
right,
that
man.
wants to take over, and I can't imagine it can be allowed.
You might be right.
If it was up to him, they'd all be put back in our country. These are killers. These are
And the
drug
thing is,
lords.
when you
These are
tell
really
like
bad
Democrats, people on the
But I
left,
wanna
that
thank the president of El
Tesla's getting
Salvador because
firebombed
he's-
and people are just
he
rioting
did
outside of
he's done an
Tesla,
amazing job. You saw
they
it.
pretend like, oh, that's not
Elon Musk's
us.
special
We don't
government,
support that.
tenure is
But when
at
they're behind closed doors, they're
130
like, yeah, we're glad it's happening. Yeah.
Do you want him to stay
Yeah.
longer, or is it time for him to go back to running his companies in Europe?
Well, I think he's amazing, but I also think he's got a big company to run, and so at some point he's going to be going back. He wants to.
Would you want to keep him around?
But I'd keep him as long as I could keep him. He's a very talented guy. I love very smart people.
January
He's
6th
very
was a
smart, and
setup.
He's done a good job. Doge.
I'll say it.
Doge
It was a setup.
We found numbers.
Trump
that nobody
offered
can
10,000
believe.
National Guard troops to be there.
400
10,000 because he knew
500
things could get out of
billion.
hand. He
Close
wanted to
to
keep
$1
the
trillion
peace. Said, go
Done the
protest
end
peacefully.
on different things. And
Offered
he's
10,000
led
National
the
Guard.
charge, and you've seen
And
a lot of
Nancy
his people,
Pelosi
and
said,
some
nah, we
people
don't need
that
him.
joined up.
We think a
I would say
handful
they're
of
high IQ people. I like high IQ.
a handful of people at the Capitol,
And
a couple Capitol
he's done a great
guards, some
job.
some
No, at
local
some
police.
point
We
he
think they
left,
can handle a
wanna
crowd
go
of
back
like
to his
80,000
company. I
people.
will
What could
say
happen?
He's,
She turned it
despite the
down
way he's been
because she's a
treated. So
moron,
he's an American
and she wanted
patriot.
something bad to happen,
But the
and
way
something
he's
bad
been
did
treated
happen.
with Tesla
When you
is
get a bunch
just
of people
terrible.
together, a bunch of passionate
It's just
people together, and you
terrible.
just have
Once he
one
goes back, you
person
have a Tesla.
start causing trouble,
And you love it.
it just causes
He
a
was
lot of
saying
people to
we
start
bought
making
Tesla,
trouble.
a lot of
And the
people
person that
bought
started,
Teslas, I think, and I hope
who
they
even
are.
knows if
He
that
should not
person
be
was a
treated
supporter
that
of
way.
Trump?
He's
It could have
done
just been somebody who
incredible
wanted to start some
service.
trouble.
Once he goes back, is
And then the
Doge
media
gonna
only
operate
showed the
even
bad
without
parts.
Elon?
They didn't
You
show
know, I
all the
can't
people
tell
that
you
weren't
I
doing
can
anything.
say
They only
this,
showed the
that
handful of
a lot
people.
the people that are working with Doge are the
And I say handful of
secretaries
people
and the
because
heads of
it was like a
various
crowd of
agencies.
80,000 people. So
And
yeah,
they've learned a
even if
lot,
1,000 people,
and they're dealing with
that's
the
still a very
Doge
small
people.
percentage.
I think some of them may try and keep
They were
the
even
Doge
arresting people that just
with
went after everything was done, and then were just
at a
walking
certain
inside and
point, I think
looking around with their
well,
phones.
but they have
They arrested
also
people that
gotten a
weren't
big
even there, that were
education,
just posting
and
stuff on Twitter.
They're doing a really good job. There'll be a point at which the
And those people
secretaries
sat
will
in
be able to do
prison
this work
waiting for a trial that never
and do it
came.
very
because it
You know,
was
as we
all a
say, with a
setup,
scalpel.
because they want to make Trump look bad
that's
and
what
not
we
get
want, yeah,
reelected.
Mr. President, have you had any updates on the U.S. soldiers?
And that's what I think, and a lot of people think that, and a lot of people realize that's probably what happened. That's why Trump got reelected,
no longer with
because they
us,
knew it was a
and
setup.
one is
That's why Trump won
fortunately probably in the
substantially this time
category,
around,
but they
and the
haven't declared
Democrats
that yet.
can't accept
It was
it.
a
They're
very
like,
heavy
it didn't work,
truck,
guys.
I told you, but, I
America's
mean,
not as stupid as we
really
thought
heavy.
they were.
Lifted the heaviest equipment. And
Some people out
it would
there,
seem that
they
the
got their
bank
eyes
of
opened.
a lake
And other people, they just put their head in the
collapsed.
sand, and
You
they
know, the
still
weight is so
believe.
big. And it was at night, and it was very cold
Oh, yeah,
weather,
it was an
ice,
insurrection.
a lot of ice. And,
But when Democrats
possibly
were
slipped, and the weight is
firebombing
so
churches
enormous
and
that
police
this thing-
stations
it's,
during the Black Lives Matter
a
protests,
massively
firebombing
heavy
the White
vehicle.
House, Trump had to go into
And
a
if they
bunker
slipped a little
underneath
bit,
the White
then,
House
yeah,
because
that's
they were
probably
attacking
what
stuff.
happened, and
When all
it
that was
flipped.
happening on, nothing.
And,
Nobody got arrested.
3 are
It's not an insurrection. It's just a peaceful
done.
protest.
and
People
one
are
is
doing the same
missing.
thing to Tesla. Oh, it's just a peaceful protest. That car is on fire. Oh, it's peaceful. It's a peaceful protest. You had Democrats saying, you need to go up to your Congress people, get in their face. If you see them at a restaurant, you need to get in their face, push them around. Yeah, bunch of crazies
Well, I
out there.
haven't really looked at it in any detail, but I will. I mean, I have seen it.
That's your party,
but
guys.
Not, I wouldn't want to
They've
comment,
definitely
but yeah,
lost their way.
Mr. President, would you be able to confirm recent reporting?
And I don't think they're ever going to win
that
another
Norwegian
election.
plans
That's
to
why
go
they
to
want to
Saudi
make it so you
Arabia
don't have to
next
have
month?
ID
And
to
if
vote.
so,
That's
Saudi Arabia
why they want to
support?
legalize all these people they
So,
let through the border,
I have a
because
very
that
good
is the only way they can get
relationship with the Middle
votes.
East. In fact, if you look at Michigan,
If they really
I won the
wanted
vote by a lot. People were
Secure
really
elections, they
surprised.
would have it so you have to
And
show
I have a
ID.
very good relationship with
So we would switch to paper ballots
Mohammed
because it's
and
less
the great
hackable.
son is
It's more
Mohammed.
secure.
He's great.
It's faster.
Crown Prince,
But nope,
actually, he's
they're like,
prime
hey,
minister,
we don't need ID.
He's got a lot of
We don't
good
need it.
guidance.
But don't you want the election to be
he's
secure?
great,
Don't you
and the
want to
king
make it
has
so
been
Trump
wonderful.
can't cheat?
And
No,
you
no,
remember
no,
last
no,
time
no,
I
no,
went to
no, no,
Saudi
no.
Arabia, I put him first on the list
Because it's the only way they can win
they
is by
agreed
cheating.
to buy
They thought they could do it again this time,
$450
but it was too
billion
big to
worth
rig,
of
guys.
American goods,
Too big to rig.
military and otherwise. And they did. And
He
it
was the
an
commander-in-chief. Mike
unbelievable
Pence
day. It was in
committed
this
treason by
gorgeous
defying a
ballroom,
direct
and,
order. Pelosi was in charge of the
companies
Capitol
were
Police.
there
Yeah, she was in
from
charge,
many,
and she
many
just
public
let it
hundred
happen.
companies, and
She's even
they
on
were
video
given
saying
anywhere from
she
40
dropped
to
the ball.
$50
It was her
million
fault.
to
But none of the media wants to talk about that.
less, and more.
They all,
actually.
the people that
Some of
say
them have been
it was an
numbers that were
insurrection
just
also say
many
Trump
times that
faked
amount.
his own
I think we had a
assassination.
couple of
That's how crazy some of the
$20
people are on the
billion
left.
deals and big stuff.
They say he faked
And
his
we're a rich
assassination. He
country
faked getting
with
shot in the
oil,
ear, and
and
somebody
we
actually
are a very
died
rich
at
country
that
ultimately when we straighten it up because of
that
oil. The oil is
that
always
event.
good. And
Like, oh, he faked it. He faked it.
I agreed
That's
to
how
do it
crazy
again,
some of those people
and
are.
they've agreed to spend
There's even some people in chat that
close
probably
to $1
think it.
trillion of money.
Newsflash
in,
for you guys.
American
When that
companies,
happened,
which
Trump
will
was
be huge
already ahead in the
jobs.
polls. He was already
So they're gonna
winning.
spend,
So why would he risk
hundreds of
faking an
millions of dollars
assassination when a lot of people had to be
giving them to
involved? And if any
American
one of those
companies
people
that are
talks,
gonna
it would have
be
tanked
making equipment
his
for
his
Saudi
campaign.
Arabia
It would have
and
tanked
other
it. It would have
places
put it in the
Middle East.
grave, and nobody would vote for him
And
because
for
they
that,
would have
I think
realized
it's
it
worth
was
it. I
cheating.
did
Why
it
would he do
last
that
time,
when he's already
$450
leading?
billion, and the
See,
press was there. It was a,
Democrats are a little
it
bit
was one of the most unique days
little bit
I've
crazy.
ever seen, where companies would get up and you're getting 20 billion. The name of the company, the chairman were all there.
And then the
every
Democrats come out and they're
chairman,
like, "We
top
got to lower
person
the
in
temperature.
company. You remember
We got to
that?
lower. We got to lower things down.
Too young for
It's
that.
getting too heated." When Biden's like, "We need to put a bullseye on Trump."
It was boring. This
When
was
people
a
are calling
much
him,
better
he saying that
But,
he is a
it was amazing, actually. It was an
he's a
amazing
threat
day.
to democracy,
sold
and they're just trying to amp people up.
partook in
And then something actually happens, and they're like, "Oh,
$450 billion
we need to
worth of
calm down,
investment
guys.
into
We need to
American
calm down."
companies. And
I didn't actually
they
mean put a
announced the
bullseye on
company,
Trump.
The amount of money, $1
Bunch of
billion,
morons.
$5 billion, $25 billion.
But Democrats,
And the
they'll
chairman
still
of the
gaslight
company,
themselves.
Many of whom, are well-known.
And they'll say,
figures,
"Oh, we're the party of
prestigious
peace. We're the
figures,
party of
great
acceptance."
business leaders.
Yeah,
Went
okay.
up, they
Sure.
shook the hand of
You're also the
somebody,
ones
and they would
firebombing Tesla
sit
right
down
now.
and
So
we just had a big investment made, so
there's
it
that.
was a record. Nobody ever beat it before.
But don't you guys
$450
worry.
billion
We're going to
worth of
make
jobs.
America great again
I
for
view
you.
it as jobs
Thunder
more
Ducky,
than
Adam,
anything else. And
should check out
now
Tom
we're close to
McDonald's
$1
song,
trillion,
Can't
so
Cancel
it's
All
more
of
than
Us.
double
Tom allows
Remember that
reactions
we
without
did
a strike. Definitely
when I
worth a
first
reaction.
came into office.
Nice. I'll have to check it out, man.
Place next
Ultra MAGA. How you doing, Jim?
It could be next month, maybe a little bit later.
How you doing,
yeah.
Jim? How you doing,
And,
Jim?
We're going to.
Guys, check
Qatar,
out Thunder Ducky in the chat. Check out his channel. He does
also
political
we're
stuff
going
like
to
this. A lot of video game content.
possibly
I
a
also do
couple of
video game
other
content.
countries, UAE.
But,
is
yeah,
very
check him out.
important. He's
Cool
a
guy.
Great leader in UAE. And I had his brother here the other night, if you saw that. We had a
If you're just popping in, we are talking about Trump and what he's doing for America. He signed a new executive order making it harder for scalpers to rip off concert goers that buy tickets. He's been answering questions from the press.
And Saudi Arabia, the three of them, and then we'll go other places.
Biden never
also,
did
but
any
in
of
the Middle
this.
East, those seem to be the
I never
three.
saw Biden
And
sign a
again,
single thing. I don't think Biden could write his name, if I'm being honest with you. I'm not
jobs
trying to be mean. I just think he
in those
couldn't
2
write his name
agreements.
toward the end.
Thank you very much, everybody.
That's why he used AutoPen for everything. So there was the little press junket they had. We're going to see what else the White House has on their news feed here. What do we got? White House kitchen garden, the Trump effect 3 days ago. More companies coming back to America. Let's go with, let's just type in news and see what pops up here. Breaking news. What's going on? News about Yemen. This was 13 hours ago. Let's watch this one. Caroline Leavitt. Anybody a fan of Caroline Leavitt? I think she's doing a great job as press secretary. Youngest press secretary in history. 27 years old, I believe. And she's a woman. Isn't that crazy? When everyone's like, ah, Trump's a sexist, he hates women, yet he puts women in charge of a lot of things. I think a woman is chief of staff in charge of hiring everybody. She's a woman.
Another big week. On Wednesday,
Yep.
it will be Liberation
But he
Day
hates
in
women.
America, as President Trump
He's a
has
sexist.
so proudly
Okay.
dubbed it. The cabinet will be here for the event. It'll be our first Rose Garden event of this administration.
Some
So,
of the people on the
you're
left are
always
just
invited
so
to
blinded
attend
by
and cover
hate
this
that they
historic
just
moment.
can't
The
accept
president will be announcing
that
the
Trump's
tariff
doing
plan,
anything good.
that will,
If
roll
Trump's
back
actually does
unfit
stop the war in Ukraine, they're going to be like,
practices
ah,
that have been living off our
but
country for
he
decades.
didn't
He's
stop it
doing
on
this in
day
the best
one. He
interest
said day
of the
one. He said
American
before he
worker.
became president, it was
We
going to
also have,
stop.
great news that,
They're not going to be
this
like, oh,
morning on the
great,
border,
it stopped.
Our Homeland Security
He
team,
stopped
our
it.
national
There's nobody
security
dying
team
anymore.
continues to do an
Trump did
incredibly
something
effective
great.
job
No, they're going to be like,
when it
ah, he
comes to
said day
deporting
one.
foreign terrorists from American soil. 17
Trump could save a
Trendy
kitten
Aragva
from a
and
tree.
MS-13 illegal
And they'd be
criminal
like, oh, he
terrorists
broke
were
some
deported
branches
from our
going up
country
there.
back
Look,
to
that tree's never
Salvador,
going to be the same.
and they will
Now
no
global
longer
warming's going to
ever
happen
be able to
because
say they can roam
it's
free
not going to
in
be
this
able
country
to
under this
help the
president.
air
These were
quality because he broke some
convicted
branches.
felons,
And
murderers, rapists who are no longer in our country, and I think we should all be very
anything
grateful for that.
Trump
I'll take
does. It's
some
called
questions.
Trump derangement syndrome. There's a lot of people in chat with Trump derangement syndrome. A lot of people watch. And I'm talking to you guys just getting more and more angry. It's okay, guys. It's okay. It's okay. You're hitting that down vote. You're hitting that thumbs down button right now. Like, oh, this guy sucks. He's pointing out all the good things Trump's doing. Oh, I gotta go firebomb some Teslas. Be right back. Yeah, okay, guys. Don't worry. We're gonna make America great again. But I think Caroline's doing a great job. She doesn't back down to the media, and I like that.
On American agricultural products, you have nearly a 300%
No, I don't got
tariff
the
from
Trump
Canada
virus. I got the
on
common
American
sense
butter and
virus, man.
American cheese.
It's called
This
common
makes
sense.
it virtually impossible for American products to be imported into these markets.
It's
and
called
it has
common
put
sense. A lot of us do
Americans
have
out
it.
of business and out of
That's why
work
we
over
voted
the
for
past
Trump,
several decades.
and he won by a
It's
landslide.
time for reciprocity, and it's time for a
That's why
president to
America's
take
coming
historic
back,
changes
boys.
To do what's right for the American people, and that's going to take place.
Trump
in Washington.
derangement syndrome is not holding him accountable.
What does that mean? I will let the president make the announcement on Wednesday, but it's certainly going to ensure that there's reciprocity
Trump
and the American
won.
people are treated fairly.
Exactly. And he won by a lot.
Again, I'll let the president get into the specifics of
If
the announcement.
if Kamala had
He has a
won,
brilliant team
man,
of
we
trade
would be
advisors. You have
screwed.
Secretary Bessent,
We would
Secretary
be so
Lutnick,
screwed.
Jameson Greer, our U.S. Trade Representative, Peter Navarro, of course, and Kevin Hassett here at the White House, Stephen Miller as well. The Vice President has been deeply involved in these conversations. All of these individuals have
The world hates us? Maybe.
plans to the president on how to get this done, and it's the president's decision to make. And we will not
That's what happens when you
on the
put your foot
specifics
down
of
and
the
say you're not going to
announcement.
rip us off anymore. You know, when you have somebody just stealing your money,
The president has
and then you
always said,
eventually
that
confront
the
them and be like, hey
stock
guys,
market is a
that's not going
snapshot
to fly
of a
anymore. You're
moment
not
in
going to
time,
just
and
take
he's
money
doing
from
what's
us.
best for
You're not
Main
going to
Street,
screw us
and Wall
over.
Street will
Yeah, those people
work
might
out
not
just
like us as
fine
much
in this,
anymore because they're not getting a free ride
administration
anymore.
just
But you know what?
doesn't-
That's fine.
As you said last week, Caroline, you said
That we don't have to be liked.
Or a review into how Jeffrey Goldberg's number got on
Trump is threatening all of our allies with war. How is that good? I don't know about that.
As the president has made it very clear, Mike Waltz continues to be an important part of his national security team. And this case has been closed here at the White House as far as we are concerned. There have been steps made to ensure that something like that can obviously
smash
never
that like
happen
button,
again.
guys. Can we
And
get
we're moving
51
forward,
likes
and the
on the
president
video?
And Mike Waltz and his entire national security team have been working together very well. If you look at how much safer the United States of America is because of the leadership of this team.
Plus, we closed up the border. Because unfortunately, our last president, Biden, he just let people walk in. And then he told us the lie that, oh, he can't secure the border without Congress. There's very little he can do. His hands are tied. Biden was a moron. Trump gets in day one, signs some executive orders, seals up the border. Border crossings drop. That's all he needed to do. But unfortunately, Biden was not the smartest crayon in the box. Only people who want and profit from war. Trump wants zero war. Dems are warmongers. True. True. We had a real border bill? No, you didn't. That border bill had very little to do with the actual border. It was like, we're going to send $300 billion to Ukraine, and like, I don't know, $50 billion to Israel. And we're going to spend like $10 million bucks on the border, put up a couple fences. That wasn't a border bill, man. That was a joke, and that's why nobody voted on it.
That's not true,
Trump fixed the border problem in 2 weeks. Exactly. Exactly.
No, according to the Department of Homeland Security.
Can't see the liberal tears. They are delicious. True story. YouTube 7. True story.
To detain these foreign terrorists who have been terrorizing our communities.
See, the crazy thing is, liberals and some of the Democrats, they think just letting criminals walk across the border is a good thing. They think when we deport criminals, it's a bad thing. They like, bring them back. Bring it back. They didn't get fair trial, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, let's bring them back. Okay, let's bring back all the criminals, the murderers. Let's bring those guys back. And let's have them stay in your house. You got a spare bedroom? Let's have them stay in your spare bedroom. Let's put them in your city. Let's put them in a tent out front of your house, right? Let's do that. But you don't see Democrats being like, oh yeah, we'll put them in our house. We'll keep them here. Yeah. Bring back those people. We'll put them right in our living room. They can just hang out with our kids. Nah, they ain't saying that. Democrats, they lock their doors at night, right? They lock their cars. But they're like, oh, we shouldn't lock our borders. We just let people walk in. You let people walk in your house? Leave people walk in your... Just drive your car? Random people drive your car? Nope. Nope. You don't. Why not? You put your bank account number, you put your credit card number on a T-shirt that you walk around with. Why not? You can have open borders. Why can't you have an open bank account for everyone to just take money out of? See, Democrats, they don't got common sense. Some of them do, and they're starting to wake up, and they're leaving the Democratic Party. They're like, these people are nuts. We're getting out while we still can, because these people are literally burning the party to the ground. And I think the only way a Democrat is going to get elected in the future is if they cheat. And they know that. That's why they're trying to legalize all the illegals that came across the border. That's why they don't want voter ID. Because that's the only way they can win. And it's pretty sad. It's pretty sad. It's amazing that they think being against eliminating government waste, fraud, and abuse is a winning strategy. Yeah. It's like, did you guys just save us a lot of money? How dare you? How dare you? We want to spend money on Sesame Street in Iraq for $20 million instead of putting $20 million into like local communities, helping the homeless crisis, helping build affordable housing. No. We got to have a Sesame Street show in Iraq. That's even if the show was getting made. Maybe they just blew the money. Like you guys should watch that interview. We might watch that interview actually with
it's going to be very exciting. We'll see you guys in the rose.
With Elon Musk. Elon Musk did an interview on Fox. Elon Doge interview on Fox with Brett Baer. Here it is. This was actually a very interesting interview.
The outer packaging of the coffee.
He's with the Doge team, and they're talking about all the fraud and waste they've found, and it's pretty mind blowing. So we're gonna watch a little bit of that real quick.
Tyler Hassan, Interior Department. You're
really
a
good interview.
former
I
oil
highly
company
recommend
CEO.
checking it out.
You're reviewing contracts before they're approved for funding. What are you finding?
Well, Elon and Steve kind of stole my thunder a little bit, but I actually found.
But these
that
are all the
customer
people on the
service
Doge
survey
team.
Contract. I actually have an example of one right here.
Like,
I could've
listen to
done
this.
in
This
high
is
school.
crazy.
And I found it. Is that bad? I found it on the weekends because under the Biden administration, there was no departmental oversight within the Department of Interior whatsoever. None. We are now reviewing
None.
every single contract, every single grant, and when things come to my attention that don't make sense, I'm bringing them to Secretary Burgum. and
They're
he's
mad
been
because they're being
fantastic.
exposed
He's
for
a
their
businessman.
crimes. True, man.
He's very supportive of Doge. It's been wonderful to work with him.
Is the battle between government of decades and decades of buildup and business, which you guys are, is that like a train hitting each other? I mean, it seems like it's pretty disruptive.
Well, this is a revolution.
A revolution,
it might
boys.
might be the
Smash that
biggest
like button,
revolution in
guys.
government since the
Subscribe.
original
Leave a
revolution.
comment.
But at the end of the day, America is going to be in much better shape. America will be solvent. The critical programs that people depend upon will work. And it's going to be a fantastic future.
We're streamlining
but
things.
Are we going to get a lot of complaints along the way? Absolutely. You know, one of the things I learned at PayPal was, you know who complains the loudest and with the most amount of fake righteous indignation?
Yep.
The fraudsters.
The fraudsters complain the loudest, guys.
These NGOs that are crazy, like the $2 billion to Stacey Abrams' NGO that basically didn't exist and suddenly gets $2 billion awarded from the federal government. She has, why? And there are many such cases like that.
I think that most people, common sense-wise, would say
common sense.
The fraud's got to end.
Yeah.
They're concerned about the 94-year-old mother who skips a check or somehow doesn't get what she's supposed to get.
Right. And what we're trying to say is actually that the 94-year-old grandmother is actually, as a result of Doge's work, going to get her check. She's not going to be robbed by fraudsters like she's getting robbed today. And the solvency of the federal government will ensure that she continues to receive.
We'll see prosecutions next. Had to get evidence first.
Medicare continues to work.
He's gonna take Social Security. No, he's not, man.
We're all doomed.
He's gonna make Social Security actually run better, and he's gonna, like, you know,
if we don't do it,
take all the people
America's
off
gonna
of the
go
Social
insolvent.
Security rolls that aren't
They're gonna go
even
bankrupt.
alive anymore.
And nobody's going to get anything.
Why are you
And all
guys
the
doing
Social
it?
Security
I mean,
numbers
you
that are
can
just
pipe up,
floating
but
out,
you
and
don't
people are
have
just
to be
collecting
here.
a paycheck because they're a bunch of
you don't have to be
fraudsters.
doing this.
He's going to cut those ones out, so all that money can actually go toward the people that are supposed to get Social Security.
We have a real fiscal crisis, and this is not sustainable. And what's worse, back to my children and everyone else's children, is we are burdening them with that debt. And it's only going to grow.
Steve, there's not a lot of hierarchy here. You guys are
Call it a
kind of all
Ponzi
approaching
scheme
it
because
from
you're paying money
different,
to this, and a
silos,
lot of
but,
fraudsters are just
with
taking the
same
money.
kind of goal.
So the fraudsters
Right?
are
I mean,
the
this
ones
is really
doing the
Silicon
Ponzi
Valley,
scheme. I think that's what he
private
meant.
sector colliding with government.
Yeah, exactly, and we're headed in a bad path, but then the chance of
We see it right
success
here in the chat, yeah.
exists. And just the one that just is in my head right now, which is a fairly mundane one, but I think is very illustrative, is credit cards. There are in the federal government around 4.6 million credit cards for around 2.3 to 2.4
Credit
million
cards. That's a lot of
employees.
credit cards.
This doesn't make sense.
Right.
And so one of the things all of the teams have worked on is we've worked with the agencies and said, do you need all of these credit cards? Are they being used? Can you tell us physically where they are?
I hope they're getting frequent flyers.
Actually, on a different note, the rewards program the federal government has is actually not very good. That's a whole other...
It's a negotiation.
Man, the government is just,
exactly.
it's just so
But
broken.
far, the teams have worked together, and they've reduced it from 4.6 million
And
to,
Elon is
to
shining a
4.3
spotlight on
million.
it.
So we're still...
I don't think he even realized it was this
There
bad.
should not be, you know, more, there should not be more credit cards than there are people. Yeah.
Joe, middle-level employees. Are they
Citizens
seeing
paid their whole lives,
benefit
and when we go to
being
collect, all the
empowered
criminals
by
have
taking out
stolen the money.
bureaucracy?
Elon just saved Social Security.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think what you're seeing is taking the best of Silicon Valley and the business world and bringing it into the
I
government,
trust
bringing the
Elon
best
with money.
practices and the best
Okay?
methodologies.
You don't get to be like the
people are
richest man in the world
right?
by not
Especially,
knowing how to
on
use
the
money
retirement process,
correctly.
which I can speak to. They've been trying to modernize and get off of paper since
I guarantee
2000s.
if somebody gave
Very unsuccessful.
90% of the people in
Every
this
attempt has
chat
gone over budget,
$1 million,
and been canceled.
in like a
because
year,
it
they
hasn't
would
been
probably
successful.
have less than $1 million.
And so, you know,
You give somebody smart like Elon $1 million, and in a year they'll probably double it, triple it,
to solve it.
have like 10 companies,
and really
because they know how to use it.
We're talking about elementary financial control.
That's why a lot of people that win the lottery, they actually end up
necessary for
in
any
debt
company to
after they
function.
win the lottery because
So,
they don't
if these
know how to
things-
use it. They don't know how to manage
if
money.
the federal government,
Clearly, Elon knows how to manage money because he has a lot of money. He runs a lot of companies, a lot of successful companies.
It would be delisted.
So yeah,
the
I'm pretty
officers would be
sure
arrested,
I'm
and the
okay with
changes we're
Elon
putting in
handling
place
some money.
will
I'm pretty
enable
sure.
the federal government to pass an audit. It
I remember,
will
guys,
enable taxpayers to know where the money
they said
is
they were
going
going to do
and
this
know that their
during the
hard-earned
election.
Tax dollars are being spent.
They said they were
well.
going to cut wasteful spending, trim the fat,
ways that
downsize
this
the
government is
government.
defrauded is that the
They were
computer
saying all
systems
this, and
don't talk
that's
to each
why
other.
Trump
So if
won.
computer systems don't talk to each
This
other,
isn't some
then
big
you
shock.
You can exploit.
Maybe
that
there's been a
gap,
lot of presidents that say they're going to do something, and then they get in office and they just don't do anything, or they do the complete opposite. We know Trump was going to do what he said he was going to do because he did it the first time he was president. So Democrats are like, oh, we said he's actually going to do what he said he was going to do.
Age of 11 and over
That's
300
crazy.
million to over the
That's
age of
crazy.
120.
Biden didn't do that.
Definitely.
Biden just broke everything.
Loans, correct.
Yes. The oldest
But it's
American
all
is
right,
114.
guys. It's all right.
So
We're
it's
gonna
safe to
we're gonna
say
make
if their
America
age
great
is,
again. Don't you worry.
115 or above.
Dems only know how to blow money.
or they should be
Republicans are
against
common
the
sense. We
border.
invest, build businesses.
And
True.
We should not be giving out loans to babies. So the youngest.
We're giving out loans to babies now, guys.
Is a 9-month-old, which is a very, very precocious baby we're talking about here. So obviously it was just fraudulent. And they do terrible things. They actually will see that a kid's been born. They will steal that kid's social security number and then take out a loan and leave that kid with a bad credit rating.
Crazy.
There was literally a baby. The terrible things are being done is what we're saying.
And how?
we're stopping these terrible things.
And you can stop it? I mean,
we are stopping it.
Absolutely. Obama said he was going to cut waste and did nothing. True.
Yes.
Right, and so you don't know.
Crazy thing is, Obama also said secure borders were important. Obama was saying a lot of the same things Trump is saying about the border,
Social Security Administration,
but they don't want to bring that up.
Very, very simple fix.
Democrats were all for it back when Obama was in office, but now Trump says the same things about the border and how we need to have secure borders. And nah, can't do that. He's a racist. Trump's a racist.
Solve a huge amount of fraud.
Are you
so one of the ways that, like one of the key tricks that the fraudsters pull is that they will use the fact that
Democrats only want a
as live
secure border when Obama was in office, I guess.
Social
I
Security
don't know
number
why.
is marked as live in Social Security, and then get disability and unemployment insurance for a dead person. Because the databases don't talk to each other, all they got was from Social Security is like, is this person alive? Yes, they're not alive. It's falsely marked. Person is falsely marked as alive in Social Security, but they didn't. But that person, a fraudster can now get unemployment and disability from a dead person. This is happening all the time at scale.
Are you surprised at some of the legal efforts and some of the judges that have weighed in? There's about 8 or 10 now of these cases that are at least temporary holds. They're being challenged by the DOJ.
Right.
Do me a favor, guys. Smash that like button and subscribe.
Well, the DC Circuit is notorious for having a very far.
This is primarily a gaming channel, but we also watch
and
politics
when you look
stuff,
at,
react to stuff going on in the world.
people close
So it's
to
kind of a
some
little
these
bit
judges,
of half and half.
where are they
So if you
working?
like gaming
Are
or
they working at these
politics,
NGOs? Oh, they're getting them.
smash that subscribe button.
Does that seem like
We're heading
system
toward
that lacks corruption?
7,000
Sounds like
subscribers.
corruption to me.
Probably going to hit 10K
Last
before the
thing,
end of the
do you
year.
guys all see this as a patriotic duty? I mean, is that really what this is about?
It's essential.
I do, 100%. I was running 5 businesses in Houston.
Yeah, we're almost at like
and I left that,
6,400
great
subscribers
people
already.
to do this.
I think we've
And,
gained
my
like
wonderful
50
wife said,
subscribers
"Go
just
for
tonight.
it."
So thank you
And here
guys.
I am, but I feel
Appreciate
like
it.
This is me giving back
America.
to the country.
If
America.
we don't do this, we're sunk. The ship, unless this exercise is successful, the ship of America will sink. That's why we're doing it.
Well, gentlemen, I really appreciate the time today, and hopefully it took some of the myth and mystery out
I believe he's going to talk
Doge
to
and
Elon
what's
Musk
happening behind the
one-on-one
scenes.
now. This was just part of the interview. There's more to
We
it.
asked on Axe, your platform.
But yeah, now he's just going to talk to Elon.
And here is C. Sperling.
Yeah.
He writes, are they happy with the speed at which they're making changes? Are there any changes they would like to make but haven't yet?
Well, I think in the context of the government, we're moving like lightning. In the context
Lightning.
of what I'm used
Lightning.
to moving, it's slower than I'd like. What seems like incredibly fast action by government standards is it's slower than I'd like, to be totally frank. But we are making solid progress.
So public chat is turned on, guys. You don't have to be a subscriber to leave a
very sort of
comment.
thorny problem.
So feel free to chime in with what you think in the doobly-doo down there. Drop some comments, let me know.
All of the government databases to eliminate the waste and fraud. These
Metalman, how you
databases
doing,
don't
man?
talk to each other,
Welcome.
And that's really the source of
Welcome back.
That's the biggest vulnerability for fraud. Is the
Also,
fact that
shout
these
out
databases
to
don't
all the
talk to each
names
other.
going
So
by
we
my
need to
face down
reconcile
there.
databases.
Thank you guys for hitting the join
It's,
button, helping support the channel,
frankly
helping keep the
painful
lights on
work,
and my internet
but it has to be
going.
done.
So shout out to
we'll,
you guys. Thank you for hitting the join and supporting the channel. Appreciate it.
Any plans
You guys
to
are the real
approach cuts at the
MVPs.
Pentagon? You're in there.
You know, the Pentagon has not passed an audit in a very long time. I mean, as crazy as it sounds, they will lose $20, $30 billion a year.
Dang.
They don't know where, they literally don't know where it went. I mean, Senator Collins was telling me about how she...
Like, we're trying to fix the
gave
systems and
$12
put new
billion
systems
for
in
extra
place so we can
submarines.
actually keep
Got
track of
0 extra
what we're
submarines.
buying,
And
what we're
then
spending,
when she
where
held
the
the
money's
hearing,
going,
said,
where the
"Where
money
did the
came
$12
from,
billion
who
go?" They
greenlit
didn't
it.
know.
So when we have to
Talking to
audit
those guys,
things,
you have
we can go
great
back and we
team
can look.
from all over the
We can
country.
check the records. We can check the
You don't have to
receipts.
be here. You don't have to be here.
And
You know,
there's some Democrats that
now
think
been
that's a
these
bad
many
idea
cases
for
of
some
violence
reason.
and vandalism at Tesla
I don't know why.
dealerships. How does that
Oh, yeah,
affect your
because Trump's
employees,
president,
your
that's why. If
customers?
Biden
What
was
does it
saying
mean
this
to
stuff, they'd
you?
be like, oh, yeah, that's a great
How have
idea.
you taken that
Yeah.
Well,
Nah.
I think a great wrong is being done to the people. of
They were just
Tesla,
spending our
to
tax dollars,
customers.
yeah.
I mean, Tesla is a peaceful company that has made.
Essentially, there's like
great
one bank
cars,
account for
great
the
products.
U.S.
That's
and
all
people are
it's
just
done.
like writing
Hasn't
blank checks left and
harmed
right.
anyone.
Nobody's asking like, what is this
and yet people
for?
are committing
They're just
violence.
greenlighting everything.
They're firebombing Tesla dealerships.
Well,
They're
like, look at
shooting
this.
guns into
This is
stores.
what crazy people on the left are doing. Not everybody. Not everybody on the left is crazy. There's some crazy people on the right too, but
threats against me and other
this is
Tesla
stupid. I hope they catch them. I hope they throw them in jail.
What are they doing this for? Why? And what's happening, it seems to me, is
It's not a good
they're
look,
being fed
guys.
propaganda
Not a good
by the
look.
far left. And they believe it. It's really unfortunate.
YouTube 7 says those who think the market is crashing are financially illiterate. Worse than the time. Wait, worse this time versus what? I'll wait.
The people
The
pushing
thing is, the markets go up and the markets go down. They go up and they go down.
Guy to do it.
That's what they always do.
Those are the real villains here.
Sometimes you got to rip off the Band-Aid, take out the bullet, so you can stop the bleeding, and the healing can start. Where Democrats are just like, throw another Band-Aid on. It's like, sir, there's still a bullet in there. Don't worry about it. Just throw another Band-Aid on. It's going to make us look good. But shouldn't we, like, take out the bullet, stitch up the wound, stop the bleeding?
You see on the far
Nah.
left, some efforts
Throw
to
another
market
Band-Aid.
electric vehicles.
The wound's infected.
I mean,
he's going to lose the arm. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And then like,
yeah,
Unfortunately,
it's
it's got to
stupid.
take a toll.
It's like, yeah, it's going to be a little painful. Yeah, the fair trade thing, the tariffs are going to be a little rocky. But in the long run, it's going to be better for America. All this cutting, all these jobs that we're getting rid of, all these
I mean, you've been called a Nazi,
organizations
a
and stuff we're spending money on
fascist.
that we're cutting.
I mean, they've got this sort of.
It might seem a little crazy at first, but in the long run, it's
Yeah,
going to
they've
help.
still got it. They haven't-
It's going to
I
help,
mean,
guys.
still
You're going
call
to
me
see.
Stalin, Mussolini.
You're going to see.
You know, whatever, Genghis Khan or whatever. I mean, they've called the president all these things. I think at one point.
Profit-taking
there was a
Friday.
magazine cover which said the president.
April
was
2nd is going to be crazy, guys. It's going to be crazy. Drain the swamp. I agree, man.
The president hasn't killed anyone. He hasn't started any wars. In fact, he's good at stopping wars.
True.
So this is
True.
opposite. They're pushing these lies. And why do they push these lies? And I think that we need to hold people responsible for pushing these lies, because those lies almost got the president killed.
Yep.
What's something that people wouldn't know about the president? You're pretty close to him now. You spend a lot of time with him. What's something that people wouldn't know?
April 2nd is when all the big tariffs are kicking in. Like the tariffs on the auto, the auto manufacturing, just like basically the reciprocal tariffs. We have some tariffs going right now, but like
that is
a lot more, and a lot of the big ones, they're kicking in on
Not even once.
April 2nd.
You know, a lot is coming your way, but
So it should be
sometimes
interesting.
You say stuff or post stuff that gets attention. You give it out, in other words. Democratic Arizona Senator Mark Kelly posted on X about his trip to Ukraine to push for continuing to send U.S. weapons and support there, and you posted that he was a traitor. Well, why do that?
Well, I think
Metal Man in chat says, "I'm not worried about allies.
the
They've been
United
using
States
tariffs on us for
above
decades."
the
Yeah,
interests of
exactly.
another
We've been getting ripped off for a long
And if they
time,
don't, they're
and
a
Trump's the first one
But
that's
he's a
saying
decorated veteran,
we're not going to do it
former
anymore.
astronaut, a sitting U.S.
This
senator.
may have worked in the past with Obama, with Biden,
That doesn't mean
other presidents,
it's
but
okay for him to put
not going to
interests
work
of another
anymore.
country above
We're not going to
America.
get ripped off. And yeah,
Obviously,
prices
there are
might
some
go up some,
Republicans who think
but I'd rather pay
supporting
more for
Ukraine
stuff
is
that's made here in
the right
America
thing still.
and
But
have
there is a
businesses start
battle
coming
back
to
and forth
America and
about
creating
how-
jobs
how do you think it
than
comes to
spending
an end?
money knowing it's just going off to China, going off to all these other
well,
places.
I
Because it's
think
not helping
there will
America.
be a negotiated peace, and the thing that we should be concerned about is.
And a lot of the
we
reciprocal
should have
tariffs
empathy for
are
the
basically
thousands
like,
of people
whatever
that are
you
dying every day
tariff
in the
on
country
us, we're going to tariff on
for
you.
no movement in
So
the-
if you
in the
charge
line.
like 200% tariff
the
on
borders remain the same for the
Cheetos,
past 2 years.
we're going to charge
Thousands
200%
of
on
people have
tariff
died
on Cheetos.
every
If you don't
week,
want to get charged that much,
for nothing.
lower your tariffs,
For what?
and we'll lower our tariffs. It's easy.
And
It's
I
easy.
take great
So that's going to wake
offense
some allies
at
up.
those
That's going to
who,
wake some countries up and be like, "Yo, America is back." They
who
finally
put
realize
appearance of goodness
we're
over the
skimming off the
reality
top.
of it.
They ain't going to put up with it
Those
anymore
who
during
virtue
Trump.
signal
We're going to have to like
and say,
change
"Oh,
the way we
can't
do
give in to
things.
Russia," but have no solution to stopping thousands of kids dying every day. They just want that to continue forever.
So it should be
I contempt
interesting.
for such people. I don't want to make that clear.
Yeah. So you're optimistic.
Because they're virtue signaling, and their lack of a solution means that kids don't have a father. It means
Yep.
that parents lost a son.
They never give a
For
solution.
what? Nothing.
So you're optimistic that the president's plan might work.
The president.
And yeah, you're right, man.
plan is the
They
only thing that will
wanted
work.
Trump in the White House when he was a
Sean Hannity
Democrat.
here. Hey, click here to subscribe.
Yeah,
to
they
Fox
loved him
News
when he was a
YouTube
Democrat.
page and catch our hottest
But as
interviews and
soon
most
as he became a Republican, nah, he's a racist. He's a Nazi. He hates women. Pretty sad, you know, pretty sad. What else we got going over on Fox News? Let's see. Same playbook he's used for years. Remember when Elon Musk was a darling of the left? Okay, let's see what
Joining
this
me
one's
now
about.
is Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA. Charlie, great to see you tonight. Now, we have seen a lot from the Democrat Party since 2020. We've seen what they're capable of.
Some crazy things they're capable of.
What is it about Elon Musk and what he's doing?
Feed the
that
dogs. Tariffs are
really
attacks on
has turned
Americans.
them
Trump
into
is raising taxes on all of us on April 2nd,
total
and you're all for
lunatics
it.
And criminals.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, man.
It's two primary things. Just like President Trump, he's a class traitor. He used to be part of the ruling class of the country, and he decided to defect from the orthodoxy of what it means to be a wealthy, polite person in America and said, you know what, no, I'm not going to go along with the zeitgeist of the times. I'm going
Trump
to
is the most corrupt POTUS ever.
challenge this
I
idea
doubt
that
that.
we have open borders.
Trump has been
and that we're
investigated more
wasting
than
all this
anybody.
money. So he is a class traitor, and President Trump is the most
And
popular
America
class
voted for him
traitor of
twice.
this generation. So President Trump and Elon Musk have that in common. But number two is he used to be a darling.
This is
of
what the
left.
majority of America
Not
wanted,
as much
guys.
as
Like it or
President Trump.
not.
I'd never say that President Trump was on the
They
left.
didn't
but
want Biden.
He used to be loved.
They
by
didn't
all
want
these
Kamala.
networks. But Elon
They wanted
Musk
Trump
used
back
to
in the
be
White House.
The poster child of environmentalism, of clean entrepreneurship,
So just
of
accept it.
forward-thinking innovation. Barack
We had to
Obama
deal with
used
Biden
to
for
do
4
cameos
years, and he
and
screwed us all over.
newspaper articles and interviews
Let
alongside Elon
millions
Musk
of people
saying,
into the
"This
country,
is
and
the best of
now
the American entrepreneur."
we're trying to clean
But
it up.
Now that Elon Musk has decided to use his fame and most importantly his fortune to uncover
True.
the hundreds of billions of dollars of waste and to support President Trump, they have now unleashed the hordes of left-wing activists after Tesla owners, dealerships, workers, even cheering on the decline of the Tesla stock. So President Trump and Elon Musk, being class traitors and formally friendly with the left, boy, that animates them because they're trying to say, to make an example, you are not allowed to leave the ranks of high society left-wing thought.
Oh, sharp analysis, Charlie. All right. Turning Point USA, I know, spoke to some of these protesters in Phoenix. Let's watch.
We need to focus on getting Musk out.
And he has absolutely no right to have his sticky rich fingers in the American people's money.
Elon Musk is in our Treasury Department with his 19-year-old cronies. And
they're doing a good job.
He should be locked up and removed from this country.
He has absolutely no f***ing idea what he's doing. It is my understanding that Elon Musk does not have any kind of degree in economics.
It's kind of funny how all these
degree.
protesters, they're wearing
Charlie,
masks.
It's
Isn't that kind of funny?
Tired talking points. They don't. Some of them don't even look like they believe what they're saying. It's
almost like they're embarrassed to be there.
It's almost like a
you know?
performative experience for them.
Like they're afraid
First
somebody's
of all,
going to
credit
see
to
it
our amazing Turning Point
and see
USA
all the
team
crazy
of
stuff they're
frontlines
saying and see
gathering
the
that
crazy
footage.
stuff they're doing.
Some of
They're
those
going to lose their
protesters can get rather
jobs.
violent, so they've done a great job. The left right now, if they
That's
get
why they're
their
all wearing
way, they wanna
masks, because they're a bunch of
destroy
cowards.
the singular most successful American manufacturing story of the last couple decades. We're actually building cars in our country, and we're building rockets in our country, and we are the world leader on both. And they want to destroy both of that. Why? Because the politics don't align. And you can hear with some of those protesters, they don't. I totally agree, Laura. There's no thought. It's just
Like, don't these
repeating
people
what
have
the media
jobs?
has told them. But one thing that they mentioned at the end, what's his degree in economics?
You'd think
That's
they have
so
jobs,
important
right?
Because Elon Musk is not an approved, credentialed elite. He's not an expert. He's not a Dr. Fauci type. Instead, he built something, and that is a true threat to the American left.
Felonies that have
Someone
no
has taken a
punishment
risk,
are fake
that has
felonies.
Built something of value, especially in the hardware
They wear
space,
masks
not just
because
the
they're
software
ugly?
space.
Possible.
Charlie, very briefly, this Wisconsin Supreme Court race
Possible.
tomorrow is critical. And the media coverage of this is, oh, well, Elon Musk is pouring all this money. Yeah, he is pouring a lot of money. And it's not as much as Soros and the gang, the billionaires on the left, because they want to take at least those 2 seats that could be gerrymandered with the Supreme Court.
Do me a favor, guys.
help
Smash that like
and
button if
flip
you're enjoying the live
House.
stream.
That's what the ultimate goal is, and they hope
This video already has
ultimately
over
impeach Donald
3,000
Trump.
views.
That's what this is about.
Appreciate it.
You know, the media coverage of this is, it's typical.
It's massive. Wisconsin is the biggest election of 2025, according to the Wall Street Journal. We have Turning Point Action folks on the ground right now chasing ballots. We need massive turnout. If we lose in Wisconsin, we will not lose to the Democrats. We'll lose to the couch. We will lose because we did not go and show up in record numbers. We need a working class movement tomorrow in major numbers to make sure that Schimmel wins the Supreme Court race.
Okay, what else we got? What else is happening? What else is happening in the world? The terrorists' threat is facing the country is very real.
El Salvador recognizes that these gang members are members of a terrorist organization, which is exactly how President Trump is approaching MS-13 and TDA as well.
Get them out of here. Get out the criminals. Get them out.
That's Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem on her recent trip. She joins us now. Thank you for having us at the department.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here today.
First, I want to ask you about President Trump. He said the attacks on Teslas. Do you see that as domestic terrorism?
I do, and it's an act of violence.
Domestic terrorism.
It has ramifications on community members and at times has risked people's lives. I do see that as an act of domestic terrorism. And we certainly have a president who's willing to use his full authorities to go after people that choose to destroy people and communities and businesses in the way that people have.
I want to talk to you about your trip. El Salvador, Colombia, Mexico. What did you take away from that?
Well, my task as Homeland Security Secretary is to secure the homeland of the United States of America. So I have jurisdiction over every person that comes in and out of this country, every product that comes in and out of this country, and everything that transpires over the internet. Talking to these presidents of these 3 countries was very productive. I had a conversation with the president of El Salvador about the TDA members that he accepted and took into his CCOP prison. We toured that prison, which
Border
I'm sure
policies
you are well aware
enforced
of.
to implement Trump's immigration agenda.
Images from that trip of you touring that prison. Just the image alone, was that sending a message?
Yes, people need to see that image. They need to see that the United States is going to use every tool that we have to make our communities safer. That is a consequence of someone who is a terrorist.
You think Elon Musk lit his own cars on fire?
Okay,
yeah.
And MS-13
You're
as
living in a
terrorist
dream world, bro.
And the president of El Salvador has as well. The only people allowed in that prison are terrorists. And to tour that and to look at that was giving the American people the transparency that they want out of their government. They were able to see exactly where we're sending these people who have murdered and raped Americans, that have
You think Elon Musk sent himself 15,000 death threats? Do you think
for individuals who
he did
continue
that
to do
too?
that. My conversation with that president was, will you take more of these terrorists? And he said, absolutely, we will. We will take the worst of the worst and make sure that they're facing consequences for what they've done to your country.
I think there's a lot of people who look at this, Madam Secretary, and say, yes, get the bad guys out. But they want to make sure that the people that are rounded up and taken out are really those guys. There are some allegations from activists and media and immigration attorneys that a few of the people you sent to El Salvador via the Alien Enemies Act are not.
See, some people are out there like, well, what if we send some innocent people to prison? I mean, that's true. That can happen. That happens. But are we just going to sit around and not do anything because an innocent person might get sent to prison? No. Like, it happens. We try not to have it happen, obviously. We try to correct our mistakes when we make them. But we're not just going to sit back and do nothing just because, oh, we might make a mistake. Like, that's just stupid. So,
not members of criminal
if
gangs.
Biden hadn't let all these people in, we wouldn't be having these issues right now. We wouldn't have to deport all these people.
If you found out, would you work to
But
take them
he did.
out of El
So now we got to clean up
I
the
trust our
mess.
intelligence agencies and the intelligence individuals that are within the Department of Homeland Security, that the individuals who are there are members and a part of this organization and have worked with them. And while we were there at that prison, we not only talked about how to identify these members of these terrorist
Thank you for the like, guys.
But what they did, their actions they took, the case files we built on them, and how we verified that those individuals should be there in that prison.
So you're pretty
we'll
confident.
continue to do that. I am very confident in the fact that those individuals that are there should be there, and that by belonging to these organizations, they were choosing to be on the side that wanted to destroy the United States of America.
Immigration enforcement is one of the biggest things that is a positive for President Trump right now, yet Democratic lawmakers talk about it a lot. Take a listen.
Any immigrant can be accused of association with gangs and cartels, and they will be deported without due process of law.
There's not much to this president's agenda. It's tax breaks for the rich and rounding up immigrants. That's the whole program.
You have to have due process. What if you got the wrong person? That is the whole point of all of this.
So what do you say to those Democrats and what's happening now with Tom Holman and what you're
Hey, we got
seeing
some more likes. Thank you for the likes, guys.
Democrats
Appreciate it.
are doing exactly what they've done for years. They're trying to use fear to control
Were
people.
Democrats
They're
yelling
using
about due
fear to
process
promote their
during January
agenda
6th?
And,
Nah. Just like, throw them all in
about
jail.
What the situation is really here on the ground.
The
We are
80,000
doing
people that were there,
due
throw them all in
diligence
jail.
To make sure that
Well, but
we're
only
going
like,
after these criminals that have perpetuated
1,000
violence
people
on
were doing
American
anything.
citizens, and we're removing them from
throw them
our
all in
country.
jail.
Our president has told us clearly.
They're all Nazis.
He's prioritizing
They're all racists.
these criminals and the worst
They're wearing
of
a
the
red hat.
worst,
They're
those with
racist.
final removal orders.
They don't
and that
talk
we're
about
making
due
sure that
process
Not only did we secure
when
our
it involves
border,
Republicans.
but that we're making sure we don't let those people back into this
Kinda
country.
crazy.
We have deported over 120 people that are on the known terrorist watch list out of this country, over 800 TDA members, and over 100,000 different arrests have been made of criminals that are out of this country. Every single family that can identify with Lake and Riley's family, Jocelyn Nungary's family, people who were devastated by these criminals are thankful that they're gone, and President Trump is on the right side of history.
Do you think the Mexican president?
There's also a reason why Trump's
is doing enough to defeat the cartels?
Trump's popularity is higher now
we
than it's
talked
ever been
extensively
because
about that.
people
I
like
gave her
what
some
Trump's doing.
options of more she could do.
Trump
She's
said he was going to do it.
participated a lot on
He's
our
doing
southern
it.
border, but we want her to
And
secure
America's
her
like,
southern
yep.
border with Guatemala. We
We're a
want
fan
her
of
to
that.
share some more information with us. Right now, we don't scan every single shipment that comes into this country over air freight. We have some information sharing that could happen on
And some
criminal
Democrats are
background
losing their
checks.
mind. They're like,
So
oh,
I gave her a list of
he's actually
things
doing
that
what he said he
President
was going
Trump
to
would
do.
be very happy to see, and she was
We
remarkable.
can't take
It was
Trump
supposed to
down,
be a
so
half-hour meeting.
guess
We
we're going to
got
go after
almost 2
Elon
hours.
now.
Very productive. She did sign some of those agreements.
Democrats
with
used
us,
to love
and
Elon
I
Musk,
asked her
though.
Specifically to share biometric
Until he started supporting
information with
Trump.
us. And she's willing to discuss that, even though that in her country
Crazy
would be a
stuff.
little bit controversial. But she's putting a good faith effort. But President Trump is clear. He doesn't want people to keep talking. He wants to see action. And she has an opportunity to do some things that I will give a report to the president on and see if we can deal with the tariff situation that may be facing.
Yeah,
people.
3/4 of the people that were put in jail never entered the Capitol either.
People
Yeah.
rounded
See?
up. We are removed from 9/11, but the terrorist threat is still there. What do you tell people about what you see every day, knowing what you know about the terrorist threat facing this country?
That it's very real. It could happen today. It could happen tomorrow. We have people in this country that would do 9/11 all over again if given the opportunity. And we have to have a strong president that stays dedicated towards securing not just the interior of our country, but the exterior, and using every tool that he has to fix what Joe Biden broke. Joe Biden purposely broke this country and our democracy and put us at grave risk. So I'm so thankful that we have a president that recognizes the threats that we have and lets me do my job to follow through on what task he gave me.
You know, we had a lot of focus on the Doge interviews I did with Elon Musk and members of that Doge team. They've been in every agency. I assume they're here.
They are.
You're working with Doge. What are they finding, and are they rooting out some of the waste fraud?
Yeah, they've been fantastic. We
They've been
have worked
finding
with them.
a
I take
lot.
a lot of extra items to them. All my contracts, evaluations, people who are in position, should they be there? Is this the mission that that agency was created for? What can we do to become more streamlined and efficient?
And the thing is, you know, Doge isn't a new department. It's just a rebranding of a department that I believe Biden created. No. I think it was Obama. I think Obama created it to kind of help with the wasteful spending and stuff. They just didn't do a good job. So they just kind of rebranded it, put some new people in there, took some old people out. But it's not a new department. It was already there. They're just doing their job, and the previous one wasn't doing their job. So
they have been extremely helpful in helping us identify that and looking at where the American people are getting ripped off and that they're tired of. I tell everybody that every dollar that goes out the door that shouldn't be spent is somebody's Social Security check that won't be there someday when they need it. And President Trump, by allowing Elon and the Doge team to be in here and evaluate everything, really brings a new accountability to government that we've never seen. And is it going to be ugly? Absolutely. For these bureaucrats here who are fighting us every single day, who don't want the dollars to quit getting spent, who want to keep their jobs, yeah, they're going to fight back. But I will tell you, this government is more responsive than it's ever been before. It's refreshing to be here under an administration that truly gets up every day and decides,
is back,
you know
baby.
What, today I'm fighting for the American taxpayer.
It's back, baby.
You know,
We back.
taxpayers oftentimes in our offices don't have a lobbyist that shows up for them. There's lobbyists that show up for every other industry and every other contract and every other business.
I think my mouse just died.
The American common man deserves a person that will sit there and lobby for them, and that's President Trump.
Well, Madam Secretary, thank you very much. We'll talk down in the National Operations Center.
I think my mouse died, guys.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey,
Sean
click
Hannity
here
here.
to subscribe.
Sean Hannity here. How you doing, Sean? Okay, what else? I know Trump. I think Elon did a some type of conference today with a little cheesehead. Elon Musk holds a town hall event in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Thanks for coming.
Making politics fun again, you know? And yeah, I think my my mouse just died. I gotta plug this in. 1 second, guys. Just gotta figure out what I can plug this, because it's a rechargeable mouse. Oh, we're off. Wait, no. It says we're online, offline, online, off. I don't know. Are we still live, guys?
All right, I love you guys too.
I think we're still live.
So
I don't know if my OBS froze or it's just my mouse that froze.
This is very important.
I'm gonna try to plug it in here. I'm gonna try to plug it in.
It's actually something that I think
it's one of those things that may seem like it's obviously important in the state of Wisconsin, but I think it could actually.
I'm just going to try to charge it real quick.
For the country as well, and maybe for the world. So
yeah, I'll let that charge.
The House majority right now is razor thin. It's really just a few seats, and if the Supreme Court is able to redraw the districts, they will gerrymander the districts.
1983. The problem is no one's watching them. No one is watching who? CNN, Doge.
Yeah, exactly. The result of that could be that the House switches to a Democratic House. Yes, indeed. And then they will try to stop all of the government reforms that we're doing, and we're getting done for you, the American people. So
we're getting it done, son. I'm just charging the mouse.
The reforms that we're getting done,
because I think the battery's dead.
To President Trump and his great team, are really profound. Really, the goal is very simple: is to restore merit and freedom.
Merit and freedom.
So
Restore the merit and the freedom, boys.
So, America is the land of freedom and opportunity. So we want to restore individual freedoms, freedom of speech, just in general, get the government off your back.
I'm going to bring up the chat on this screen real quick.
And then
I
make
could
sure
find
that
my
you
stream.
succeed in the United States as a function of your hard work and your talent, and nothing else.
There we go. There we are. 1 second, let me just pull up the chat. That's what I'm looking for.
These are really noble and important principles. And
Pop out
also,
chat.
I'll
There
talk
we
more
go.
about this, all night really, as long as you guys want to.
Where to go?
But as you may have seen with stuff that we've posted on the Doge.gov website and the Doge handle on the X platform, there is a tremendous amount of waste and fraud.
A tremendous amount of waste and fraud. Tremendous.
It's insane.
Right, I got you guys' comments in there too.
Yeah. It's really
because
wild.
my mouse is charging.
I mean, it was inevitable that at least a few Soros operatives would be in the audience. Give my regards to George. Say hi to George from me.
Allies don't take advantage of you. If they accept fair reciprocal tariffs, they are no longer allies you want. They need us more than we need them. True.
USA.
USA, boys, USA. Also, how do you like the picture down there of Trump riding an eagle, a bald eagle?
So,
I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I mean, isn't it shocking?
I asked the question, is Trump keeping his word? 59% say yes, and 41% say no. So far, Trump is winning in the honesty department, I guess. Vote on that poll we got in the chat, guys. It's 59 to 41 right now. 66 votes have been cast. The audio on the video is bad, is it?
I'm like, guys, this is insane. Like, they're gone psycho. I mean, it's really...
Well, I think it's just the mic he's using.
I totally understand if somebody doesn't want to buy a product. Yeah, it's up to you. It's a free country, but you don't have to burn it down.
It's because I think he's at a live event, and I think you're kind of hearing the echo. I think that's what's going on. I think that's what's going
Salvador
on.
recognizes that
Let's go to News Today. Let's look up the news today. What do we got here happening in the news?
Trump over the weekend. Trump posting this, saying America First patriot Randy Fine is running to represent the wonderful people of Florida's 6th Congressional District. A highly successful Harvard-educated businessman and greatly respected state legislator, Randy has been a tremendous voice for MAGA. In Congress, Randy will be an incredible fighter.
To watch Charlie Kirk.
With me to strengthen
You getting some buffering now?
Lower taxes, secure the border, champion our military.
Yeah, I can't adjust any of those settings until my mouse charges. Like I said, it's a rechargeable mouse, and I don't have any free USB ports because I have like 5 hard drives plugged into my other computer that I'm streaming from. So I got to let it charge using the USB cable that's plugged into this computer so I can unplug it after it's charged and use it on my other computer.
Now remember, this is current
Hopefully the buffering isn't too bad.
Walt's House seat that he vacated in order to become National Security Advisor. We're going to do that, though, with our friend there who knows everything about Florida politics. That's, of course, A.G. Gankorsky.
Probably.
You know him. He joins me.
If I can zoom in on this at all.
Here. And so help us walk through who these candidates are, what the political dynamics of this race
Make you guys' comments a little bigger.
Are Republicans really that concerned about Randy Fine's viability to win this seat in this ruby red district? If so, why?
Yeah,
Never heard of Keith Olbermann.
This is why President Trump has done a teletown hall.
What are some of your, like, I guess, podcast personalities you guys like watching?
Elon Musk.
I like watching Timcasts, IRL. Occasionally Joe Rogan. I'll watch, like, it's just usually clips of Joe Rogan because they're pretty long episodes.
It's kind of a Save the Whales effort in CD6. Randy Fine.
I like watching just random news stories like this.
When the campaign began, he apparently has relocated since.
Tucker Carlson's good.
State senator from Melbourne.
Yeah, I'll watch some of his interviews occasionally.
And he upset DeSantis, and DeSantis,
Dan Bongino had a decent podcast, but that was over on Rumble. And I was actually the second in command over at the, FBI, I think, which Democrats hated. AI bots can't watch. They only spew talking points programmed into them.
That didn't set well with DeSantis. And,
by the way, guys, how'd you find my channel? I'm curious. How'd you find me?
Up until recent days, really, in which case Fine has gotten more conciliatory. Josh Weil, on the other hand, he ran for Senate briefly in 2022. There was some oppo out against him. He was a classroom teacher. He had a couple of incidents in the classroom.
Smash that like button, guys.
He apparently converted to Islam at some point, and so on. So, Weil's not the perfect candidate, but what...
Okay, let me pop over to here. What do we got as far as, like, videos? What do we got? Oh, yeah. Watch SpaceX launch first human spaceflight to Earth's poles. Man, SpaceX is doing some crazy things. Plus, Elon got the astronauts back, the 2 astronauts that were stranded in space for 9 months. Elon Musk offered Biden. He's like, yo, Biden, you want me to get those astronauts back? Biden didn't want it to happen. Biden's like, nah. Trump got him back. But nobody talks about the fact that Elon helped astronauts get back home safely from space. They're just like, Elon's a Nazi. Elon's racist. Elon, he's doing crazy things with Doge. They don't even mention that we got astronauts back from space. That's pretty crazy. If he's so great on the border, why does he threaten Canada's border, Greenland's, and Panama's? I think he's trying to float the idea that, like, yo, if we're giving you like $200 billion a year to help support Canada, if we're giving you all this money, like, what are we exactly getting from it? Like, and they're tariffing us. They have pretty high tariffs on certain products. So, like, if we're giving them this and we're like giving them security with our military, because our military is way bigger than Canada's, maybe you guys drop the tariffs if we're already like supporting you, or just become our 51st state if we're basically gonna fund you. So it's just like, throwing some ideas out there that people haven't thought of before. Same with Greenland. Do I think he's actually going to go in there and try to take it over by force? I don't think so. I think he's going to use tariffs, and he's going to use economic pressure. And if the only thing comes from it is us not giving Canada $200 billion a year, if that's all we get out of it, that's fine with me. Like, we just saved $200 billion then. Or we're going to make stuff in America more because we're rely on Canada as much. So either way, it's a win-win. You know, they either want to become the 51st state, so we expand America, or, you know, we stop giving them tons of money every year, which is a win because we save all that money, or they drop a bunch of the tariffs, so we save a bunch of money every year. Either way, it's win-win. Or they keep the tariffs up. They don't want to be part of America, and we just start making stuff here in America more and not relying on them, and we create jobs here rather than in Canada, which is a win. So I don't see it either way. I think it's just wins all around, you know? I found you scrolling through live, so you must have been in my algorithm. Well, I'm glad you found me, man. I'm glad you found me. You were saying all illegals bad. You are okay with invading Greenland? I don't think we're going to invade Greenland. I think they can vote on it. Like, some Greenlanders are open to the idea. Will it actually happen? I don't know. But I feel like Greenland's probably more open to it than Canada is. But we have, like, strategic reasons why we want to be in Greenland. But, you know, Trump thinks outside the box. He thinks outside the box. Let's see. What else we got over here? What else we got? News conference about Elon getting the astronauts back.
Let's go out right now, out to NASA, where we are going to be hearing
this is coming from
NASA. Sonny and Butch talking about, for the very first time since splashing down back to Earth earlier this month.
No one is swimming across icy waters to go to Greenland illegally. True. It's not invading when they are begging us to build them some fast food. Yeah, true.
Aboard the International Space Station.
We're like, we'll give you McDonald's.
On March 18th.
Do Greenlanders want some McDonald's? We'll make it happen.
Days in space, but we all
Come
know
join
that,
America.
Boy, it took a lot longer. But problems with the Boeing Starliner caused their stay to be extended to 9
But like I said,
months.
Trump thinks
So let's
outside
listen
the box.
in
He
on
also
Live Now
has
from Fox.
the gold cards that people can buy for $5 million a card, so they can kind of like fast track their way into America. Let me skip ahead a little bit.
Of a long duration
which is going to bring in a lot of money.
Today, minus Alex, who's recuperating in Russia right now with friends and family, thankfully. And we sit here as a testament to the success of that mission. So I look forward to answering your questions. Sonny?
So he was one of the astronauts that came back.
Say thanks.
Those
Thanks
two.
to Nick and Alex for coming up and getting us and bringing us home, and thanks to so many who prepared us for our mission. The commercial crew program with NASA and Boeing, as well as SpaceX, really got us ready to go. All of the trainers here at Johnson Space Center, the mission control teams all over the country, in Florida to California.
Okay, I'm going to see if I can
throughout the whole
unplug
country,
my mouse.
as well as what we're doing now.
I want to see if
our
it's
teams here are
charged
getting us
enough.
ready to get
There you go.
refab
Charge it a little
and
bit.
get ready to take on new challenges. So feeling good since we've been back almost 2 weeks now. Actually went out and ran 3 miles yesterday, so I will give myself a little pat on the back. Our trainers are rocking it and getting us ready to get back to help out with the new astronauts as they're getting ready for their mission. So the biggest thing I want to say was thank you.
Says the person who loves $36 trillion of debt.
Let me start off with an analogy, a sports analogy. This very difficult job that we take part in, it's a team sport. It encompasses organizations throughout NASA, throughout the country, coming together. The Commercial Crew Program, headquarters, the International Space Station program, working together day in and day out behind the scenes, diligently to make all of this work together. And then you couple that with a nation that comes together and it cares about the human spaceflight program and prays for us and what's taking place. It goes beyond understanding, honestly. And then This organization also is incorporated into an international organization that reaches beyond our own borders and brings into the world
administration.
like no other organization
I haven't heard that one
or
before,
off the
bribing.
planet. And I can tell you, it's simply a privilege to take part in all of that.
Thank you for the likes, by the way, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you all for your opening remarks. We will go ahead and start taking questions now. If you're in the room, please raise your hand and we'll be sure to get a microphone over to you. If you're joining from our phone bridge, please press *1 when you're ready to enter the queue. And due to the high volume of questions today that we are receiving, we ask that media start with one question, and if we have time for a second round, we'll come back around to you. We'll start here in the first row with any questions. Mark, go ahead.
Mark Strassman,
I think I saw
CBS
that
News.
video.
Welcome back, everyone. Good to talk to all of you again. We're meeting in this auditorium for a reason.
Real quick, YouTube 7 says that rescue would have been on the major networks 24/7 if there was a Democrat president. Actually prevented an earlier rescue by Elon because it would have helped Trump during the election. True.
There are roughly 60 news outlets represented here. Another
Letting
120
politics
or so
get
on
in the
the
way
phone.
of bringing
Butch and Sonny, have you been
astronauts
surprised
home
by
from
the
space?
continuing
Pretty messed up.
and intense interest in your space saga?
Pretty messed
I
up.
would have to say yes, absolutely. You know, it's interesting. We go and launch. We knew it was a little bit unique, obviously, first time flying on a new spacecraft. So yeah, that was interesting. But you know, then life goes on up there. And I mentioned yesterday, you know, we pivoted and we are International Space Station crew members, and we're doing what all of our other friends in the astronaut office do, is go and work and train and do amazing science experiments up on the International Space Station. So, you know, I think you sort of get
If you're just joining us, guys, we are watching some NASA news that's going on.
maybe a little bit tunnel visioned in what your job is. Time and way to get us back home. We knew that, and we were ready to wait until that decision was made, and that was fine.
And I'll also add that we're grateful for people that, I don't think they were looking just at us when they make recommendations. We can do this, we can do that. They're looking what's best for the human spaceflight program, for our nation's goals. They're not looking just about Sonny and Butch. And we appreciate those entities that do that and reach out and say, hey, we can do this, we can do that, we can do that. And NASA says, hey, we got a plan, we came prepared, here's what our plan is. And we think this is the best plan because it doesn't disrupt the flow of how these missions lay out. So, and that's the one we went with.
All right, we'll take our next question
66
here in the room.
votes.
Andrea,
Is
go
Trump
ahead.
keeping his word? 59% say
Thank
yes,
you guys for being available
41% say
today.
no.
So your mission became unusually political. Given your experience, do you think other astronauts are going to get nervous that they could be caught in the middle of a political fight? And is there a point where, you know, this starts to jeopardize safety of a mission when you start looking at all these politics that come into play? Thank you.
You know, I think Nick's got some good insight on this.
So the way I'd like to answer that is that when we're up there operating in space, you don't feel the politics, you don't feel any of that. It's focused strictly on mission. And you know, if I step back a little bit to the question before, Butch and Sonny talk up here, they make it sound like, you know, well, you know, everybody
got a new
figured out
poll
what they
in the
could
chat,
do with
guys.
us. The reality
Vote on
is
it.
they are highly skilled, very technically competent, and it took everything I had on every day to keep up with them as they're moving along. So they were more than just gap fillers on the station. They were productive, pushing the station mission forward. And Sonny was the station commander, so she was calling the shots. So you get in that environment, that operational environment, the politics, they don't make it up there. We are working as a part of an international team that spans the globe and works with, you know, half a dozen mission control centers spread around the globe that are talking in multiple languages, and we just figure out how to make it happen. And that's the magic of human spaceflight, is that we can focus on something so positive that pulls people together. And we've been doing that for a long time.
All right, we'll take our next question here in the room.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Jay Wan with KPRC, the NBC affiliate in Houston. This question is for Butch. I actually stopped by your church right before I came here, and I heard that you were still attending your church services from space.
Right.
Can you tell me a bit about why that was
cool.
important for you to do?
Well, goodness, the Word of God continually infilling me. I need it. My pastors are the finest pastors on or off, in this case, the planet. And to tie in and
Oh yeah, her hair
worship
looked
with
pretty
my
crazy in
church
space.
family family was vital. I mean, it's part of what makes me go.
If you're just joining us, guys, we're watching the
NASA
news conference that happened today.
A buddy of mine is a
They're talking about getting back from space, how Elon helped them out.
As well, every single week.
What it was like in space.
It was invigorating. It was part of what I need as a believer in Jesus Christ to continue that focus. It assists me day in and day out because I need that fellowship, even though it's fellowship from afar, and it's not like being fellowship up close, but still I need it. So yeah, thank you for that.
Okay, we'll head back to our phone bridge. Next up is Ryan with NASAspaceflight.com.
Hi, thank you. For the whole crew, of course, this narrative that's being pushed out has made your mission probably the most popular NASA mission to the general public for as long as I can remember, probably since the retirement of the shuttle. But for the whole crew, do you think this extra attention has been a net positive or a net negative for the agency's sort of popularity and the spaceflight industry as a whole? Thank you.
I'll start with this one. Yeah.
I think it's a good thing.
It's, again, an honor that actually people are paying attention. And I'm very thankful that people are paying attention. And, you know, sometimes good news, bad news, it's just news, and it's good for space exploration, and that's what we're all about. You know, our mission, of course, building and working on the International Space Station was just awesome, and we all had the opportunity to do that. But we also have bigger goals of exploring our solar system, going back to the moon, going on to Mars. And to get people understanding that it is hard, it is difficult, and what we do up there is really awesome. And I think at least that we had a little bit of that came with the interest in this mission. And if we can perpetuate that and tell people a little bit more and have the opportunity, the forum to do that, I'm very thankful for that.
All right, our next question is from Nicole with the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation.
Hi there. Could you perhaps talk about how difficult it was being away from your friends and family, particularly since you hadn't prepared for that?
Difficult. Yes, I would say it was difficult. It wasn't in the preparation, but in my family, we talk about these possibilities. We discussed all of this. We never said we were going to be gone for 9 months, but it turned out that way. But the discussions we had, and it's not just discussions prior to the mission launch. This is the way we've trained our daughters from the time they were born, because I am, you know, their dad isn't a unique occupation, right? This is not.
With serenity, or maybe you didn't, you know, internally. But what would you say about that life lesson I think we can all relate to?
Well, I'll start. I'm sure you want to add, both of you.
Here out to Greenland.
We got JD Vance talking over in Greenland.
At the podium.
Please, at ease, have a seat. We're going to be talking for a long time. I heard you guys love speeches, so I've got about 90 minutes of prepared remarks here. I want to thank you all for being here, especially. There we go. Thank you. USA, 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 USA. So I want to thank our guardians, our airmen, and everyone else for the warm reception in a very, very cold place. I think it's probably the coldest place I've ever been, but you guys managed to do a great job despite the weather. I want to bring a message for President Trump. He's grateful for your service, grateful for what you do up here, and just wanted me to tell you that he's proud of you and he thinks about you. And of course, the same is true for everybody that's flanking me up here. We're thrilled to be here because the mission that you guys do is so important for the United States. It's important for our national security. And today, everybody that I met to a person was professional, was kind, was knowledgeable, and was dedicated to our country. You're a great credit to the United States of America, even though you are very, very far from home. I met some
JD Vance fans
and some
out there?
Floridians today, and I thought to myself,
president?
man, you guys have really signed up for tough duty here in Greenland, but it's a beautiful place. It's a striking place, a very harsh place. The colonel showed me around, but a very beautiful place. Even in right now, I guess we're still, at least here in Greenland, in the heart of what is winter, because winter, I guess, lasts about 9 months here in Greenland. So I want to thank our reporters for following us around today and covering what we're doing. We'll take some questions from the reporters, but before we did that, I wanted to give some of my special guests an opportunity to say a few words. So we, of course, are thrilled to be joined by Juliet, our National Security Advisor's wife, and by my wife, our Second Lady, Usha. And flanking me here on my left is Chris Wright, our Secretary of Energy, Mike Waltz, our National Security Advisor, and my dear friend, Senator Mike Lee from the great state of Utah, who I joked earlier, I told Mike I'd give him a ride to Utah, and we ended up in Greenland. But I want to, because each of them care about this territory and care about the mission of the American military here in Greenland, for various reasons, touching each of the areas.
If you're just popping in, guys, we are listening to J.D. Vance's remarks when he was in Greenland at the U.S. base they got over there. So he's kind of talking about that. I'm going to turn on... where is it? 1 second. I'm going to turn on members-only chat for a little bit. That's one of the perks of being a channel member. If you guys want to become a member, hit the join button. I'll turn on subscriber mode here in a bit as well. But shout out to the channel members, guys. I appreciate you helping support the channel.
Is that they focus on. I thought it would be worth hearing from each of them for a little while. So, Chris, if you would say a few words about the importance of energy. Thanks, Chris. Here we are.
I will. Let me echo the Vice President's comments to thank you for your service to our country, wherever it is, whatever it takes.
It's got to be pretty cold in Greenland, right?
I think we see right here in this beautiful air base in the high Arctic
pretty cold
what
over there.
Energy can do. We can make a tough high Arctic environment a beautiful place to live, a comfortable place to live.
I think if Greenland, and I mean, even just Greenland, but if Greenland and Canada became a part of America, that would be crazy, man. That would be something nuts. Like what America could do with that, like extra support. Even if we can just like make some trade deals and stuff with Canada and like not be ripped off as much, like find some middle ground and just improve things upon where they are right now, or where they are, I guess, when Trump became president. If we could just like improve that, maybe he's just doing this so he can improve things to make them better. And like maybe his whole goal isn't to make Greenland part of the U.S. or Canada part. Maybe he's just saying that. So when that doesn't actually happen, it will look good for Canada. Be like, oh, you guys stood up to Trump, but Trump's actually getting what he actually wants. He's just, you know, saying one thing so he can get the other thing. And it seemed like he conceded some stuff when he's actually getting what he wants. You know what I'm saying? It's all a part of the art of the deal.
All sorts of scientific instrumentation, military mission to monitor what's going on in the world. None of this was possible not long ago. President Trump was elected to re-energize America, to take the beauty that you've seen up here
re-energize
and make
America.
that a thing of pride and ambition again, not shaming of energy, not trying to stop its growth and its prosperity, but to re-energize it. So energy makes the world a beautiful place to live. It makes us comfortable and have long, opportunity-rich lives. I'm thrilled and proud to be part of this administration with President Trump and Vice President Vance. Thank you all for your service. I'm honored to be here.
Thank you, Chris.
Mike?
Thank you, Chris.
I guess when we flew in, it did look...
Also, guys, real quick, I posted a link to become a member in the chat if anybody wants to become a member. If you can't afford it, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We'll turn subscriber mode on.
A little bit like Utah in the wintertime.
Shout out again to the members. I appreciate it.
There is substantial portions of this land that are always covered in ice, and it doesn't change. I really enjoyed talking to a number of you a little while ago as you were telling me that when you're deployed
Maybe I'll
here,
buy a
you're
house in
deployed here
Greenland.
for a year without
They can't be super
your
expensive,
family,
right?
Without your spouse.
There's got to be
without
some
your
cheap
children.
houses in Greenland.
That is emblematic of so many of the sacrifices that so many of our armed services personnel make. And my conversations with our airmen and guardians this afternoon reminded me of the fact that the American people are indeed in good hands. They're in your hands.
Like a good neighbor,
What you
State
do
Farm
here
is there.
makes us safer. And when
No,
we're
wait,
going
Allstate,
about
that's
our
Allstate.
business, our day-to-day lives at home, we don't have to worry about the things that you worry about because you're doing it for us. Thank you so much for that. And I look forward to learning more about what you do here and about the future of the United States and its interaction with this amazing land in this part of the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. And I just wanted to take a minute and thank you all, to the airmen and women, to the guardians who are keeping us safe day in and day out. You are continuing a tradition of the U.S. military's presence in Greenland since World War II, 1951 Defense Treaty. And President Trump is absolutely serious with the Vice President and with his team about the Arctic and the security that the Arctic brings and that you bring to the Western Hemisphere. This is about shipping lanes. This is about energy. This is about fisheries. And of course, it's about your mission, which is keeping us safe and monitoring space, monitoring our adversaries, and making sure the American people can sleep safely in their homes day in and day out. So thank you for roughing it. Thank you for being without your families. I bet every one of you are going to pick somewhere in, I don't know, Florida or the Bahamas or something for your next duty station, I would think. But this is also, I mean, what an incredible adventure. I have yet to meet a veteran. My wife is a veteran. I am as well. And of course,
also, guys, I asked another question in the chat. Should Greenland become part of the USA? Feel free to vote on that.
The Vice President, I have yet to meet a veteran that says, wow, I regret my time in service. Instead, they cherish it the rest of their lives. So, you know, appreciate this moment and this adventure that it is. And the American people, thank you. The President Trump thanks you. And I know the Vice President and the Second Lady thanks you as well. And it's just really an honor to be with you today. Thanks so much, VP.
So thank you, Mike. And let me say just a couple of other things, and then we'll take some questions from the reporters. So number one, I think a lot of Americans wonder, why does Greenland matter so much? Why does the mission of this base matter so much to the American people? And I learned a lot about that today myself. Of course, you can read about it in a book, but I saw it up close and personal. And if, God forbid, to my fellow Americans, if a missile was fired from an enemy country or an enemy submarine into the United States, it is the people here before us who would give notice to our brave men and women further south in the United States to let people know what was coming and, God willing, to try to shoot it down and prepare for it. That's one of the things that we do at installations like this. We know that Russia and China and other nations are taking an extraordinary interest in Arctic passageways and Arctic naval routes, and indeed in the minerals of the Arctic territories. We need to ensure that America is leading in the Arctic, because we know that if America doesn't, other nations will fill the gap where we fall behind. So what you guys do is so critically important. I think a lot of Americans, certainly I, didn't realize it fully until President Trump started talking about the importance of our Arctic mission, about building upon it and ensuring that America can lead in the Arctic for the next generation. And now I want to talk about, of course, the interaction and what Denmark,
Real quick, subscriber mode is turned back on, so if you are a subscriber, you can now leave a comment down below.
Think has
Thank
done,
you again for your support.
and sometimes in partnership with us. But let's be honest, what Denmark over the last 20 years has failed to do in some cases, because we know that unfortunately this place, this base, the surrounding area is less secure than it was 30, 40 years ago, because some of our allies haven't kept up. As China and Russia have taken greater and greater interest in Greenland, in this base, in the activities of the brave Americans right here, we know that too often our allies in Europe have not kept pace. They haven't kept pace with military spending, and Denmark has not kept pace in devoting the resources necessary to keep this base, to keep our troops, and in my view, to keep the people of Greenland safe from a lot of very aggressive incursions from Russia, from China, and from other nations. Now, President Trump as he says all the time, and as a lot of people recognize, is a president of peace. We want to have good relationships with everybody. That includes, even to the extent possible, the Chinese and the Russians. But part of having good relations is showing your strength when you have to. And unfortunately, the story of
showing your strength when you have to. That's what we're doing. That's exactly what we're doing. Showing our strength when we have to. And we have to.
To security is that we've underinvested
because our
in
last
the infrastructure.
President was very
we've
weak.
Underinvested in the security
and
architecture.
We got to show everyone
and we've
that we're not weak
underinvested
anymore.
in the brave men and women who are doing a very hard job, as Mike said, to keep all of us safe. That has to change. Now, when I pointed out a couple of weeks ago that in some ways, with all due respect to our Danish allies, they had not kept pace, there was a lot of criticism from Denmark, a lot of attacks at the Trump administration, at the president, at me, at others in our administration for saying the obvious, which is that Denmark hasn't done a good job at keeping Greenland safe. And you know, one of the things I heard was, well, what about the many Danes who lost their lives in the war on terror fighting alongside the United States? Well, look, we obviously honor the sacrifice of our Danish friends in the war on terror 20 years ago, just as, for example, the French honor the sacrifice of Americans in Normandy 80 years ago. But recognizing that there are important security partnerships in the past does not mean that we can't have disagreements with allies in the present about how to preserve our shared security for the future. And that's what this is about. There is no amount of bullying.
Metalman in chat says, Democrats tried to change the Constitution on December 19th, 2024 by trying to abolish the Electoral College. That's a direct attack on the Constitution.
No amount of obfuscating, no amount of confusing the issue. Our message to Denmark is very simple. You have not done a good job by the people of Greenland. You have underinvested in the people of Greenland, and you have underinvested in the security architecture of this incredible, beautiful landmass filled with incredible people. That has to change. And because it hasn't changed, this is why President Trump's policy in Greenland is what it is. It's consistent with the first Trump administration, where you saw significant investments in Arctic security, and it will continue over the next 4 years under President Trump's leadership.
The next 4 years. Buckle up, boys.
Before I kick it over to the media, make one comment about the people of Greenland. The colonel here, the base commander, who came
He's
here
about
first
to open
as
it
a
up to
second
questions
lieutenant.
from the media.
And I
This
guess,
should
Colonel,
be
this is your
interesting.
second duty
This
station
should be
here,
good.
and we're proud of you and proud of all of you guys who
JD
are
Vance
serving
is a very
and
smart
helping
guy.
keep us safe. You know, I heard a lot
So
about the
it should be fun to
respect
see and
that
hear
our
what he
American
says to the
troops
press
show for
once
the
they start
local
asking
Greenlandic
questions.
population, the way that we make and create shelter for hunters and dog sledders, the way that we found ways to turn over traditional tribal land to some of the local populations in order to ensure that they're able to live in accordance with their values. We respect, as the president said in his State of the Union address, we respect the self-determination of Greenlanders, excuse me. We believe in the self-determination of the population of the people of Greenland. And our argument is very simple. It is not with the people of Greenland, who I think are incredible and have an incredible opportunity here. Our argument really is with the leadership of Denmark, which is underinvested in Greenland and underinvested in its security architecture. That simply must change. It is the policy of the United States that will change, and I'm proud to be able to stand here with so many brave Americans to better understand the security mission and better understand what you guys do each and every day. For that, I'm grateful for your service. I'm even more grateful. I love you guys. I'm proud of you guys, and President Trump stands behind you and will for the remainder of his administration. Thank you all. God bless you. All right, now we'll take a few questions. Both you guys have your hands up. Whoever can go first. Red scarf, go first.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Do you have any plans, are there plans to expand the U.S.'s military presence in Greenland beyond this base?
Well, are there immediate plans to expand our military presence? No, but are there
Sounds a little messed up. They need to fix their mics.
Objectives that we want to accomplish that will certainly require us investing more resources, investing in additional military, icebreakers, investing in additional naval ships that will have a greater presence in Greenland? Absolutely. And we know that's necessary because we know, as Mike talked about, and certainly I talked about, there has been an expansion of the security footprint and the security interest of Russia and China. They're doing what they believe is in their interest. The United States must do what I know is in our interest, which is to make sure that Greenland is safe. If Greenland doesn't have self-determination, if the people of Greenland have their future controlled by the Chinese Communist Party, it's not going to make their lives better off, and most importantly, it's going to make American and world national security, world security, much, much weaker. We can't, we in some ways need to wake up. We need to wake up from a failed 40-year consensus that's...
Wake up, boys. We got to wake up. We all got to wake up. Democrats really need to wake up. Shh. They're sleeping.
Said that we could ignore the encroachment of powerful countries as they expand their ambitions. We can't just bury our head in the sand, or in Greenland, bury our head in the snow and pretend that the Chinese are not interested in this very large landmass. We know that they are. They've taken steps to put Greenland in ridiculous debt traps to invest and exploit the resources here. And we know that they're sending a lot of military resources here. Yes, over the medium term, the United States will meet that challenge. We will put our own resources here. We already have a lot of great resources here, but we know we're going to have to do more to counter some of the nations that we know that we're competitive with. Sure.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vice President. And the president said today that we have to have Greenland. By being here today, are you also conveying that message that the U.S. is...
Every single Democrat voted to allow non-citizens to vote? Dang, that's crazy.
Very serious in its desire to acquire Greenland?
Well, the president said we have to have Greenland, and I think that we do have to be more serious about the security of Greenland. We can't just ignore this place. We can't just ignore the president's desires, but most importantly, we can't ignore what I said earlier, which is the Russian and Chinese encroachment in Greenland. We have to do more. Now, what the president said in his State of the Union address, and he was very clear about this, is we respect the self-determination of the people of Greenland, but my argument again to them is I think that you'd be a lot better coming under the United States security umbrella than you have been under Denmark's security umbrella. Because what Denmark's security umbrella has meant is effectively they've passed it all off to brave Americans and hoped that we would pick up the tab. We're simply saying to the people of Greenland, when the president says we've got to have Greenland, he's saying this island is not safe. A lot of people are interested in it. A lot of people are making a play. We know that America cares about the security of this island for the sake of the people of Greenland, but also for the sake of the national security interests of the United States of America. So our message is very simple. Yes, the people of Greenland are going to have self-determination. We hope that they choose to partner with the United States because we're the only nation on Earth that will respect their sovereignty and respect their security, because their security is very much our security, as these brave Americans
Their
show.
security is our security. Very true, very true.
John Parkinson with ABC News.
If you're just joining, JD Vance is talking about Greenland and why it's important to America.
We've had a couple questions on Greenland. I feel like you've answered that.
And security for the world.
But I did want to ask, did you express your concerns to the president that you were opposed to the Houthi strike? And also, what did you mean when you asked, or when you said in that thread that the president wasn't aware that his directions for Yemen were inconsistent with his message on Europe?
Well, I didn't quite say that. I think that's a slight misunderstanding of what I said. But we've talked, of course, in the American media about Signalgate, as I called it, for the past week. And here's what I told the president and the entire national security team is that, yes, it is in the interest of the United States of America to preserve navigation. Yes, it is in the interest of the United States to kill terrorists who are preventing navigation in the Red Sea, but we got to make sure that we do it right. We have to be careful. We have to make sure the timing is right. And of course, what that leak revealed, I think, is a private communication between the president's senior advisors about how best to prepare the American people for what we all thought we had to do, about the right timing of when we should do something, and of course, surfacing the strategic questions that we needed to decide and brief the president on so that he could ultimately make the decision about what we would do. What I saw in that signal chat, and of course what I've seen in the president's senior national security team, is that sometimes we all agree and sometimes we all disagree, but it's important that we all have an honest conversation amongst ourselves and with the President of the United States about what we think is the best interest of the national security of the United States of America. I support the president's decision to strike the Houthis. I always supported the president's decision to strike the Houthis, and I support the national security team having the argument about how best to serve the American people. Good.
In your security briefing today, did you see specific threats coming from China and Russia, things that you did not know about before? Are we talking battleships, icebreakers, any type of military equipment, or is it economic?
Well, I don't want to get too specific, but yes, we know that the Chinese are very, very interested in this island. We've seen some of the economic pressures that they've tried to place on Greenland. We know that they're increasingly engaging in military training and military interest. Certainly, they've started to describe themselves as a near Arctic power. And I think part of that is justifying taking a further interest in Greenland and some of the surrounding territories. So we've seen very strong evidence that both the Chinese and the Russians are interested in Greenland. And why wouldn't they be interested in Greenland? It's a beautiful place. It has incredible people. It has its geographic placement makes it very important for the national security of the United States. But for world security, what we have to recognize is that if the Chinese...
YouTube says, member only mode broke continuity and lost a comment I made. I noticed all chat comments ceased. Yeah, I don't think there were any members in the chat. That's why. But that's one of the perks of being a member is you get access to that. Also, one of the perks of being a subscriber, you get access to subscriber mode. All that. It's just part of the perk system.
And the Russians are going to pursue their national interest. We need a president who's going to pursue the American national interest, and that means ensuring that Greenland is safe.
Well, welcome back, YouTube 7.
When can we expect an update on the internal investigation into that signal chat leak? Has that investigation concluded, and what are the findings?
I think we'll get an update soon. Look, we take it very seriously. We all accept that a journalist should not have been invited into the chat, and members of the administration, including my dear friend Mike, have taken responsibility for it. But I find the American media's obsession with this issue very, very interesting, because I happen to remember about 4 years ago when American military leadership made a catastrophic error that got 13 innocent Americans killed in Afghanistan and had about $80 billion of military equipment turned over to one of the worst terrorist organizations
They don't talk
in the world.
about that, do they?
And for years, the American media ran cover for a Biden administration that refused to fire any generals or even launch an internal investigation that was meaningful and substantive about what happened. And now the same American media that covered for the Biden administration after the untimely death and the unnecessary death of 13 brave Americans is really, really interested in forcing the President of the United States to fire someone because of a signal chat, That is not honest behavior from the American media. And if you think you're going to force the President of the United States to fire anybody, you've got another thing coming. President Trump has said it on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Thursday, and I'm the Vice President saying it here on Friday. We are standing behind our entire national security team. Yeah, go ahead.
The tariffs. There's been some retaliation, some signals at least in the media that Canada's going to respond. Some of these others are going to respond to the president's
Should be
tariffs.
Interesting.
What's your message for Americans that are
April
going to
2nd.
see costs increase on auto manufacturing, new cars, that kind of thing? Is it Buy America, or what's the message going forward there?
Well, let me say a couple of things. First of all, for the Canadians, and we have many dear friends in Canada, and of course we love the Canadian people, but the Canadian leadership threatening retaliatory tariffs against the United States, as President Trump often says, they just don't have the cards. There is no way that Canada can win a trade war with the United States. What President Trump has said is that he wants to level the playing field. For decades, Canadian leadership has forced American farmers and American manufacturers to play by an unfair set of rules. All President Trump has said is that we're done playing by an unfair set of rules. If you're going to do something to our industries, then we're going to do something back to your industries. That's how you protect American manufacturing, and that's how you protect American jobs. Now, what I'd say to the American people is look, the president...
Metal Man says the public doesn't want our tax money getting pushed to illegal immigrants. I agree.
ran on this, and he said very clearly that we're done being the
Nobody
piggy
should get a
bank
free
of
ride.
the entire world. For 40 years, in the same way that our European friends, I think, have neglected international security, for 40 years, a lot of our friends all over the world have used America as a piggy bank. They have used us to absorb all of their excess economic production. What does that mean for Americans? For Americans, that's meant manufacturing jobs declining. That's meant middle-class wages going down. That's meant whole towns that have been hollowed out by empty factories. And that means an America that is less safe because our manufacturing isn't as powerful now as it was 30 years ago. I've got all these brave Americans in front of me and a few behind me too. We want to send, if God forbid we have to send Americans to war, we want them to have weapons, the best weapons in the world that are manufactured in America and not in China.
USA,
the way you do that is to rebuild the American manufacturing sector. The days of America being the piggy bank of the world, the days of closed factories, the days of people not being able to get a middle-class job in this country, they're over. And yes, that means we're going to have to fight back even against some of our friends and their unfair economic practices. But the long-term consequence of this is going to be higher wages, more manufacturing, and more economic security for the American people. We'll take a couple more questions.
Russia, has the U.S. agreed to those conditions that the Kremlin said were needed for that truce in the Black Sea? It included lifting sanctions imposed on Russian banks. Trump said this week that you were still looking at it.
Well, there are a couple of different statements that are floating around out there, and some of them I think are mistranslations, and some of them are not totally clear what is even being asked for. But the president has said, and he's right, that I think we feel very good about where things are. We trust but verify. We make sure that what we're seeing from one party is met by the other party and vice versa. But I think that we've made an incredible amount of progress. We have to remember that this war started under Joe Biden's administration. It has led to an unbelievable amount of death and destruction. And for the first time in almost 4 years, thanks to President Trump's leadership, we have an opportunity to really achieve a peaceful settlement. The president's going to fight every single day to make sure that happens. And of course, we'll keep you guys updated as we continue to make progress. I do think if you look at what we've talked about, we've obviously got this energy infrastructure ceasefire. We've got a Black Sea commercial ceasefire that I think is almost done. And once we get there, we'll work on the next stage of the ceasefire. Yeah.
The president has previously not ruled out military force when he's talking about taking over Greenland. But your rhetoric today is more about encouraging the Greenlandic people to vote for independence. Do you think the rhetoric has changed about that, or what's your message there?
No, I don't think it's changed at all. Look, the president said clearly he doesn't think that military force is going to be necessary, but he absolutely believes that Greenland is an important part of the security, not just of the United States, but of the world, and of course the people of Greenland too. It's very simple. I think the president's been very consistent here from his State of the Union, from his inaugural address, and every public statement that he's made. This territory, Greenland, really matters for the security of the United States. It's extremely vulnerable right now. And if the people of Greenland were willing to partner with the United States, and I think that they ultimately will partner with the United States, we could make them much more secure. We could do a lot more protection, and I think they'd fare a lot better economically as well. This has to happen. And the reason it has to happen, I hate to say it, is because our friends in Denmark have not done their job in keeping this area safe. They just haven't done it. It's very simple. For all of our friends in the American media who attack the administration for pointing out the obvious, what is the alternative? To give up the North Atlantic, to give up the Arctic to China, to Russia, and to other regimes that don't have the best interest of the American people at heart? We have no other option. We need to take a significant position in Greenland to keep the people here safe, but to keep our own country safe too. We'll do one or two more. Yeah.
Trump said this week the U.S. would go as far as we have to go to acquire Greenland. In that same vein, on that question, are there plans that have been drafted to use military force to take over Greenland?
Well, what the president has said is that we need to have more of a position in Greenland. We need it, again, for the safety of the American people. And what we think is going to happen is that the Greenlanders are going to choose through self-determination to become independent of Denmark. and then we're going to have conversations with the people of Greenland from there. So I think that talking about anything too far in the future is way too premature. We do not think that military force is ever going to be necessary. We think this makes sense. And because we think the people of Greenland are rational and good, we think we're going to be able to cut a deal, Donald Trump style, to ensure the security of this territory, but also the United States of America. I'll do one more question.
Last question.
Talk about economic interests, how the U.S. could develop Greenland more economically. Could you speak a little bit more about that? I know Secretary Wright is here. Have you guys spoken about energy? Senator Lee is here as well. Just wondering what those discussions have been like.
My point actually is that other countries have explicitly gone after Greenland, and I think with a mind towards economic exploitation. Sometimes asking Greenland to get itself into terrible economic debt traps that would make the people of Greenland not self-determined and sovereign, but to mortgage their future to hostile foreign countries that don't have their best interests at heart. That is not what the United States of America wants to do. What we want to do is to protect the security of this territory because it matters for us and it matters for the people who live here. All right, guys, thank you all. And let me just say one more final word to the Guardians, the Airmen, the other service members gathered here. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart, it is incredible to be a vice president who has served just as our NSA, Mike Waltz, has served, to know the sacrifice that comes along with it, and to see that there are still incredible young Americans willing to put on the uniform and serve this country. You make America a better place, and you make it an honor to serve as your vice president. God bless you guys. Thanks for having me.
I think that was a pretty good conference there. Pretty good news, remarks from J.D. Vance at Greenland. I thought, yeah, went pretty well. What do you guys think? Leave me a comment down below. With that, we're going to wrap up the stream, guys, because it is pretty late. It's just past 3 in the morning my time, so I got to get to bed. I will probably be streaming on and off tomorrow, though, because I don't got to go to work. So keep an eye out for that. If you did subscribe, thank you for subscribing. Might be playing some video games tomorrow, also watching some news as well, kind of going back and forth. But yeah, thanks for popping in. Thanks for chilling. Thanks for all the comments in the chat. Everybody was pretty respectful, so I appreciate that. Even if you guys had different opinions, it's nice to see things from different points of view. But yeah, thanks for watching. Like it, subscribe. If you want to help support the channel, you can hit the join button. Become a channel member. Get your name down there in the chat. Get access to members-only live chats, behind-the-scenes videos, members-only live streams, stuff like that. So yeah, thanks for popping in, and I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, my name is Adam, and remember, keep calm and game on. Toodles!